Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? What is beyond? Pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, folks. You're finding us live for episode 148 of Double Feature Horror Show. I hope you are well. Yeah, this week, regular plans for a live show disrupted by endless demonic screeching. Well, that's enough about my home life, but it had to be done. This may be the most sleep-deprived show we've done in a while.
You can say that again.
Yeah. My own little demonic possessed young girl. What can I say? Oh, bless her.
Oh, they're like that at that age.
Yep.
They are, yep.
Oh, but you know what? Little Horror Show has an appreciation of the Twilight Zone already. So I've got us started on the good stuff. So I was watching this, I was doing my homework, and I had to bail. I got about 25 minutes in, I had to bail. There was not a calm baby. It could not work.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had to retreat to the den and watch it on the screen with the headphones. But
so yeah, this is why I'm not, increasing the population anymore. I've made my contribution to society, to the human race. Elon Musk would be very, very happy, although he'd probably say I'd need more to do to make more babies. But yeah, I'm past all that. It's someone else's turn. Your turn.
You've done your bit. Service guarantees citizenship.
Exactly.
Mima's on the money, 100%. Oh gosh, if anyone remembers, I know there are new people, but hopefully you remember the glory days of Gatsby coming in every stream, getting a wow, wow. And you can just hear the conversation going while I'm leaning backwards in my chair, just like, he's just within fussing reach. I can do it. I can calm him.
He did like to give his opinions at just the right times.
Oh, he did.
What a legend.
Bless his wonderful little heart. Yeah. Yeah, so you may hear some demonic howling. Don't worry. It's just a little horror show getting used to life. I'm seeing a fair few people didn't manage to do the homework. That's okay. Forgive us. We are going to go full spoilers on this. It's the only way we can do it. We've got a slightly unusual reading of the film. Hopefully you'll like it. Hopefully it will convince you. And then if you're watching it after watching this stream, see how persuasive we were. Obviously, I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined by TCG.
Yes. Hello, everyone. And thank you once again for allowing us into your living rooms.
Trusting us. Yes. Oh, dear. You were chuffed with this one, weren't you?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really good. Me and my wife actually sat down and watched it together first before obviously coming to you and saying, we need to cover this now. I'm sure we'll get to the ending of the film. It was a bit of a letdown, but I tell you what, everything building up to that point, it was so interesting. I genuinely feel like this could be a cult classic someday. I was looking online and seeing what people were sort of saying about the film after, in the days since, and there are people saying, I haven't rewatched the film and paused and rewound and frame by frame since like Donnie Darko. And I've been that person. I think in the 2 weeks I've had Shudder. Well, in the week and a half I've had Shudder now. I think I've watched this film about 6 times.
Hang on, what?
Yeah. No, I'm not joking. I've
Ooh,
got into it.
good going, man.
Jack Delroy should have toppled Johnny Carson. Is all I'm saying.
I feel ashamed of my 1.5 watches. I wanted to do more, but
to be fair,
duty, I'm afraid.
I'll say to be fair, you know, if it was the mid to late 2000s, I'd be in the same boat as you. But as I say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
You
had
are
it
now
thrown
the
up on.
expert.
Yeah.
No, I'm chuffed to hear that. I'm very chuffed to hear that. Just to confirm for people, let's see. Adam Loves Horror, you asking? Yes, it is for streaming on Shudder, and you can get a 7-day trial and watch it. And if you do that, if you do get the trial, do give a nice little film called The Mortuary Connection a watch. It's a good film. A nice little anthology with Clancy Brown. I had fun with it.
You know what? You had me at the first half there because I honestly thought I've got another film to recommend. Horrorshow recommended it to me. Let me just pull it up. Hold on, because I want to make sure I get the name right. It is it Bum Boy?
It was it Bum Boy or Butt Boy?
Oh, where is it? So I was football posting as well, I think.
I did find that it was a screen cap that was a bit you know, the worst news is
Got it. Butt Boy. Butt Boy.
Oh, Mergoot has confirmed it was Butt Boy. You know, the worst thing, TCG, is the algorithm tailors it to what it thinks you would like.
Ah.
I mean,
well, I haven't seen it pop up on my feed, so interesting that you have.
What could it possibly be inferring?
I've got no idea.
Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Yes, Waifu asking, yes, Shudder recommended a film called Butt Boy. And for heaven's sake, TCG, you're the one who watched the Scrotum and the sequel.
I did, to be fair. No, actually, no, that's not true. The sequel I didn't watch.
Oh, okay.
Although I think that is free on. I think that's on YouTube. But I did watch that on Prime. That was that was interesting. We need to cover that one day.
Yeah. You should we cover Scrotum? I don't know. I'll leave you hanging.
Well, we could do it as some sort of trilogy, couldn't we? We could do Scrotum. We could then do Butt Boy, and then we can cap it off with Teeth.
The long-awaited Teeth review. We could get there. We could. Well, we're both pretty sleep deprived at this point, so we'll get into it. If you're wondering why isn't there a topic section, guys, I am so dead. I'm so dead. But even though I'm dead and sleep deprived, heck no, I'm not cancelling the stream. I want to talk about this movie. This movie was great. Often you see things get a little bit of hype, doesn't live up to it. This, I'm going to say it lives up to the hype. The trailer was great. I can't remember. Someone on here showed us a trailer and we thought, okay, this is a little intriguing. It is living up to the hype. And from what I can tell, the budget of this is not big, but appears to be reportedly under 2 million. They Forbes was saying they only spent $150,000 on the effects.
Wow.
This is a lean thing. There are all the sort of telltale signs that Late Night with the Devil is your sort of efficient low budget production, like the fact that it's about 14 production studios went in on this one. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Oh my God, I counted them. I think there were 9 production studios that worked on it. They take up, it's well over 2 minutes of the film is just taken up by oh, we made this film, so did we. Oh, did you know that we did it too? Oh, hang on, you forgot to shout us out. Oh, and you know,
is it starting? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and I thought I thought it would lead into like the studio logo for the studio within the film. No, and it was another production studio. It just kept going.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I joke about it, but you know, back in the days, not that I think it's a high quality channel, but Cinema Sins would have dinged that hard. Like 2 minutes of production logos. Whew.
Yeah, they would have absolutely slated that.
Yeah. The other one, very canny. They use the old Joss Whedon method of sets. Put all your money in one massive set.
Oh,
This is the lesson that Joss Whedon sort of slowly incorporated from season 5 of Angel. Sorry, season 2 of Angel, when he
okay.
put all his money into the Why Can't I Remember That Hyperion Hotel. I should remember. I've watched that series enough.
Mm.
And then shove all your money in that. And then if you need to do an episode only in the hotel, you can do it because you've got an amazing set. And he did it again on Dollhouse. He did it again on Firefly. And they've learnt that lesson here. You've only got a little budget, so make one set, the massive studio set, and do everything within that. Very clever, very clever. And it's all within story. It's not like how can I say, like Terrifier, where they had a pizza joint in one abandoned warehouse. Gosh. Dollface has sent £2 and is saying he finally, he or she, I do not know, finally watched Candyman. It was pretty good. Only pretty good, Dollface? Only pretty good? I assume pretty. You're humble, and I assume by pretty good you mean it's a 12 out of 12. Wonderful film. I assume that's what you meant, but I'm glad people are watching Candyman.
If that's not what you mean, then you might get timed out. I'm only joking.
Yeah.
Just a couple of comments. J828 says would have been better as a regular narrative. The actual footage conceit was laughable. I'm sure we'll talk about that as the show goes on. And Dollface also says, I saw some people were really ass mad that they used some AI for the bumpers. We saw that too. That too.
Shall we go into that? Because I think that's a small thing. We can quickly deal with the AI thing.
Yeah. I don't care. That's my position. I don't care. It was something like three images they used, and after they created the images through the AI, they had like humans go in and touch it up and make it presentable. So as far as I'm concerned, template, and someone worked on it. I mean, if people are worried about,
it's Hollywood. Something new was always going to get touched up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, God damn it.
Can you imagine though, TC, that people sitting there absolutely seething over 3 AI images when these low budget, absolute horrendous monsters using AI when what they should have done is hop on to Fiverr and got an Indian to produce it in AI and then send it to them.
Exactly. And I bet...
And I say that as someone who has abused Fiverr extensively to get people to do stuff.
And I bet a percentage of those people screeching about the AI usage in this film, albeit 3 images, were screeching at their TV or their phone through their illegally downloaded copy.
Yeah, 500% anyone complaining about the AI torrented it.
Yeah, you know it.
It's oh gosh, come on. Who hunted that stuff down though? Who hunted it down and said this is AI? Because I thought it looked really innocuous. It's just 3 interstitials for the network, as far as I could tell.
Yeah,
I didn't look into it more because I didn't care.
Yeah, it wasn't. We're not going to do a red letter media and slate him for 6 minutes. I think the correct position is, and
yeah, I mean their review came down to that section of it anyway. They mostly complained about Civil War doing the same thing, which was kind of a different way of using it because it was for promotional posters, which I still kind of don't care, but it was maybe a bit more justifiable if something that's meant to be much more public facing versus 3 tiny things in the middle of the film, of a low budget film. And they kind of said that it's one thing for a small studio to do it, but it's worse if a big studio does. And I don't know, man. What's really complaining about is like, you did a thing for free that you could have paid someone to do. It's like, but they did pay someone to make the image.
Yeah, and presumably that same person was also the person who got that image and went, right, okay, we need to make these changes to it to make it look a little better. But also,
go ahead.
CGI replaced, largely replaced actual physical makeup effects.
Absolutely.
I'm sure
Physical effects teams got yeeted as people turned over to CGI. Where was the complaint?
And those people probably had to adapt to those changes to stay in that industry. This is what happens with technology. When new technology comes out, yes, there's going to be a bit of a shockwave. I mean, you only need to look at cars and replacing the horse and cart if you want to go back that far. But people adapt. What might get removed through innovation tends to create new opportunities off of the back of it. And there's always going to be a place for real, handcrafted art. That's never gonna go away. If anything, it will evolve into its own sort of niche, niche craft, if you will. Just because AI can give you something in 30 seconds doesn't mean people aren't going to stop appreciating actually something that will take real effort and real time and care and love and attention into. So I just don't see the issue, really.
Yeah, I mean, we know we've sort of been through. We've run the libertarian pipeline, guys. Like, we know the creative destruction argument, and for all its faults, and I've got my faults with it. It's like I actually was mad about CGI taking out all the physical industries experts because those guys were cool. I don't mind it complementing it, but I think practical effects are the way to go. But when that went, if that's gone, then AI for a few images is an absolute blip, and I just don't care. You've already, how can I say, you've already given so much ground on it that complain about AI is no different. And frankly, I will say a lot of the concern about it, I think, also goes with the writing. And I saw the Fallout series. I don't think you could tell. No,
some people don't deserve to be paid to write shows.
Exactly. If Fallout show is what we get from human writers, give me the AI. Okay.
To be fair, I've not watched it, but I mean, there are some terrible shows and films that we've covered on here where you can go, right, yeah, maybe ChatGPT could have done a better job. I don't know.
Yeah. So there is the AI controversy of Late Night with the Devil. Now, someone mentioned, oh, yes, the classic dollface. Yes, we have confirmed AI is all Indians.
Exactly. Yep.
Very efficient. Thousands of them. Moving pixels in real time.
Millions even.
Ah, dear. Yep. Was it? Oh, and Patrick Batman. No, Patrick Batman is highlighting something that absolutely will be key to the discussion.
Yes.
I mean, look, Patrick, we all got through Hellraiser, right? We survived Hellraiser's lightning. The thing, like those lightning effects in Hellraiser, as I don't know if this is true, but what I read in the infallible pages of the IMDb trivia is that they'd completely ran out of money. And so the lightning was done by Clive Barker and a mate, sort of literally painting it on themselves.
Oh my, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dedication. I can kind of see it, to be honest.
Where were all the Indians then, eh?
Needed Indians.
Exactly.
Ah, dear. Essie has had the same experience, yes. It was loud and it was bright and it kept me awake at 3 a.m., which is why I finished the whole series. But I started noodling in episode 1. And the thing that made me go, no, hang on, this is terrible, is I think episode 2, when people just run into whoever they need to run into. Oh, dear. Terrible. Right. Okay, good. I won't get distracted. So, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, 20 minutes into a stream about Late Night with the Devil, do you want to give people a quick rundown of this, TCG? I remember you quite. Oh, hang on, Mergit's got it. Let's just leave this on. Important message, guys. Thank you, Mergit.
Don't do it. No hate watching. Right. So you want my Guinness pint summary? I'm assuming.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Right, I actually wrote this one down. This is how dedicated to this film I've been. So, Late Night with the Devil.
Times.
I know, right? Late Night with the Devil, excuse me, tells the story of Jack Delroy through the lens of recovered footage of both the last show he presented and unseen backstage footage. Jack had one goal, and that was to topple Johnny Carson as America's #1 late night talk show host. Soon after signing a 5-year deal with TV studio UBC, his wife, Madeline, was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and died shortly after she featured on his show, which was also the highest rated episode of his series, The Night Owl. However, that was still 1 point behind good old Mr. Carson. Fast forward to Sweeps Week, Halloween 1977, and Jack is set to present perhaps his most shocking show yet, with a clairvoyant, the skeptic, and maybe an interview with a real-life demon. Dreamer, here awake.
Ooh. Nicely done. Nicely done. Not giving too much away. Genuinely a pint of Guinness summary.
There we go. And yeah, happy with
I
that.
got our favourite meme up.
I did that.
Yes. Thank you, Connor. Genuinely good advice, seeing as I've...
Yep.
I shouldn't argue on Twitter, but with people starting to... People's like heading... They're seeing Rings of Power Season 2, and they're just like... Oh, dear. Hang on, what's this? The Foot in a Blender store has just opened. Oh, no, I hate that. Then walking into the Foot in a Blender store, buying their biggest foot blender, then going like, oh, jeez, man. Oh, no, now it squirts lemon juice in afterwards on your stump. Oh, boy. Oh, here I am taking off my boot. Oh, no. If only I was in the pub, but here I am plugging it in and shoving my foot into the blender. Oh, man, the lemon juice is even worse this time. No! Don't do it, guys.
Not even once, exactly, Patrick.
Not even once, folks. If any of you watch Rings of Power Season 2, for shame.
Unless, of course, you legitimately liked it. See, the thing is, I haven't watched Rings of Power, primarily, because it's not really something I'd be interested in anyway, but also, I still haven't watched the bloody trilogy, Lord of the Rings trilogy, for my sins. So I'm like, I don't know how badly that would affect my enthusiasm for the show. Same with Doctor Who as well. Not interested in watching Doctor Who, but I'm not a massive fan of the show anyway. I watched the Tennant years and the Eccleston years, and that was pretty much it. And Fallout, I haven't watched Fallout because, again, now this one is more because I haven't played the games, and I kind of feel like a little bit like a fraud if I chimed in. I'm like, oh, yes, I like what Fallout now, while everyone else is hopping on the bandwagon. But I do have Fallout 4 now, so I'm considering playing that at least, getting a little insight. But yeah.
That's a controversial one.
Yeah, no, again, like I look, look, I fully appreciate the Lord of the Rings trilogy is completely unacceptable to have not seen. So I fully agree with that, and it is something that I will one day get round to watching.
You're gonna have a heck of a weekend, though.
I know.
I mean, if you watch this 6 times, crikey, when you get around to the trilogy, it's like we won't see you for a month. Actually, there's a really cute bit on the extras, and I know you guys have seen this too. On the extras on the DVDs for the Lord of the Rings, in the middle of talking about what they cover, I want to say it's like one of the hobbits says, and after watching the extras, please go outside. Excuse me, sorry. The Alabastard has absolutely nailed it. Completely correct. I'm not even going to pirate it. They said they hate me and don't want me as an audience, so I'm complying. Perfect take.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Apparently, I have been told that Doctor Who isn't for me. So I'm like, okay, fair
It's
enough.
not for you. It was never for you, even. I saw.
TCG is trans now for not watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Okay.
The deep lore is getting complex here. God,
I now
can
go,
you
right,
imagine?
yeah,
Oh, we wouldn't have that kind of degeneracy on this show. Moving on. So, Late Night with the Devil. You've outlined the premise very well. People are obviously making comparisons to a wonderful show called Ghostwatch from 1992. I don't want to stress that too much because I think everyone has talked about it. But in case you're not aware, I do actually have a video on Ghostwatch, a conversation I had with Shrouded Hand, who is a fantastic chap. And we talked about that show. The premise of it was that it went out trying to be very big on verisimilitude, trying to portray itself as real. They did give a little disclaimer at the start, which people could have missed. And a lot of people did miss it and believe for a good while that they were watching a real broadcast. And there are lots of similarities with this show, but frankly, it's hardly overdone. It hasn't happened a huge number of times, has it?
No, can I just say that obviously we've been talking behind the scenes over the last few days, especially about theories and whatnot. The fact that people are comparing it to Ghostwatch further adds credence to the theory that I have about this show.
Yeah, you've got a fantastic take, which I'm going to milk. Frankly, it's a great take.
Please do. You'll probably be able to articulate it far better than I can.
Well, we'll give it a go. We should stress that even though it nominally starts off telling you it's real, there is everything in the format and the presentation makes it very clear it's not. So you're in with a ruse. Oh, by the way, something else that did this quite well, that is more common to found footage, was a nice little Canadian series called Grave Encounters. Grave Encounters and Grave Encounters 2 tried to pretend it was a Most Haunted style show. And I thought they did it quite well. But what we should say is that Late Night makes it very clear that it is not found footage. It's even by just making, the 19 billion production studio credits right at the start,
Yeah.
If that doesn't clue you in that you're watching fiction, I don't know what to say, man. They could have kept it a bit more subtle with that. But no, they tell you very clearly that this is fiction. They signal it with that. They also frequently break up the footage from regular TV aspect ratio to full screen black and white footage for when the cameras aren't rolling.
Correct. But do you know? But what's interesting about the backstage footage as well is there's multiple camera angles, and if you just lined up those camera angles, that you'd expect there to be a cameraman there recording and filming in those shots, and there isn't any, which obviously contradicts the whole, oh, this is found footage, this is backstage footage. It's clearly not. It's absolutely not. Yeah, it's full on priming and suggestion, which again we'll get into as the discussion goes on. But yeah, it's not. It tells you what it is without telling you what it is. Oh, sorry, it tells you what it is, but by telling you that it's something different. And it will throw a mixture of subtle and not so subtle hints, in my view, as the film progresses, from like throwaway like one-liners from a backstage crew member to outright to entire scenes later on in the film. It's telling you what it is, but it's not. But if you spot the signs, you'll see it. You'll see it.
Yeah, and it throws a lot of things your way to distract you, I think. It's not exactly cheating, but it does throw you a fair few things to take your attention away. Misdirection, as a wizard would tell you. I should probably say magician and not wizard, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something if I say wizard makes it sound like they're genuine. Whereas I say, it just comes off a bit weird. If someone told you they'd been chatting to a wizard, You'd think it was a bit weird. Whereas if they're like a magician, you'd think, oh, right, yeah, you know someone in entertainment.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with wizard.
I'm distracting myself here. So there are threads of very arresting imagery in Late Night with the Devil that grab your attention, but ultimately are a bit of a distraction. So, for instance, the chap next to this John Landis-looking dude here,
Barry. His name's Barry, by the way.
Barry.
I know the names. This is how
Oh
much
gosh, 6 in.
it's one of the few films where I'm like, I know that character's name. I know this person's name.
Yeah. So this guy in the costume, who doesn't speak, doesn't respond, is there as ominous. You're like, hang on, there's something up with him. Is he like really a kind of monster in there? Is he maybe a cult member from what the cult they mention? From Cult of Abraxas. Is he in? There's something about this guy. He isn't responding. He gets your attention. You see him a fair few times. He's filmed prominently.
Do you know what his role is?
Oh, go for it.
My theory is he is an example of misdirection. And loads of people online who are talking about this guy are falling right for it. This guy, in my view, serves no purpose in the film other than to misdirect you to think, what's his purpose? What's his role? He doesn't have a role. He's not important to the film as such, because later on in the film, yes, you do see him in sort of like the front of the queue, but the audience are also there, and obviously, you know, your attention isn't on those audience members, but it is on this skull man, this skeleton man. He's not a key feature, but
no. He reminded me in a way of the Mask of the Red Death. This is a reach, guys. This is a reach, I know. But the thing of the chap in the skeleton costume walking through the party, being far more low energy than anyone else. And I know I can't accuse anyone of low energy, crikey. Anytime I re-listen to one of my things, I'm like, why do you talk so slow? Anyway, this guy kind of reminded me of the Mask of the Red Death. Just guy in the skeleton costume, still, everyone else he stands out just because of his pace is so much slower than anyone else.
It is. And again, you know, if you're having, sorry, I'm sort of very much alluding to my sort of theme here, but if you were having a, you know, like it's a fact that apparently when you dream, you can't create like images of people that you've never met before. Anyone that you see in a dream, or anyone that you encounter in a dream, is somebody that you have met in, you know, throughout your life or seen. Again, because it's because his demeanor is in stark contrast to the other audience members. Again, that's someone who's dragged to the front of your mind. So it's natural that if you were to, I don't know, let's say hallucinate, or maybe be in some sort of hypnotic state where you're primed to think that this person serves more of a purpose, that they would be drawn to the front of the queue.
Gosh, I wonder if that person turns up in a hallucinatory sequence. We'll never remember to check.
Can I? And again, I keep talking about priming and suggestions, but again, I want to. So when the show starts, did you see the first camera sort of glitch?
I did not.
I
just got to say something for people. Warning. I don't know if I said it already. We are light on images from the film this week because Shudder will not let me screen cap.
Yeah.
Alas. So I'm doing my best here, but
which is very moody. So Gus McConnell, who's like the co-host, he's like the guy who stands with the band. He's introducing. He introduces Jack Delroy to the show. Doors open. He's not there, and they're like, "Oh, okay." It should be pointed as well. Actually, no. Don't. Ignore that. And they're sort of like, Jack, are you there? And then the camera, the camera glitches. And as soon as it glitches, it pans back to Gus, and a ghostly, I say a ghostly image. It's a man in a sheet, rises up from behind him and jump scares Gus. That turns out to be Jack just playing a prank on Gus. Now, for me, that is an example of priming. Because even though nothing scary supernatural happens in that moment, you're primed to associate that TV glitch with a supernatural event or a scary event happening. And you'll find that as the show progresses, the glitches will then signify a supernatural event. So your expectation, you're primed to expect that. And again, it literally it tells you, it tells you. And this is why I'm when we get to the bit with what's his face, Carmichael Haig, when he does his performance a bit later on, when he's trying to debunk Dr. June, Ross Mitchell, and Lily. It's really interesting how that differs to every other bit. So
I'm looking forward to that. But when we get to that bit, that'll be good.
Yes. Adam is getting on the track. He's getting.
Yeah, Adam has got it. Adam has absolutely got it. There's another aspect of, say, attention getting that they do to sort of move you off from what's happening, which is Lily, who I thought was probably the best thing in the movie.
Oh, she was great, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was fantastic. Gosh, the way she is played is wonderfully unnerving. She's meant to be 13. I think the actress is a bit older than
18.
that.
She's 18. Yeah, I looked it up. I was like, there's no way that she's 13.
It's a relief. They do lots with Lily to make you very uncomfortable. Like, she is consistently aware of the camera, and she is just looks at you all the time. I love that. It's like she's breaking through the reality, which also fits your theme, your reading. The idea she's breaking out of the reality of being in a TV show. She doesn't really go with it, and she just tends to engage directly with you watching her. And her just looking at the camera constantly with a slightly off smile is brilliant, I thought.
It's quite unnerving. It's again, sort of, it's not something you would expect. It's almost like a shock. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Derren Brown, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
So like one of the things that he would do to put people in like almost like an instantaneous trance, right? Is he would go to introduce himself, hold his hand out, shake your hand, but then as soon as they go to reach out, he'll grab the hand like in a shocking way and then like put them on their head, and then boom, he's in a trance. While it's not the same, obviously, in that situation, I think it's something similar there, where it's such a unexpected sort of thing to see somebody do. Like, we know that someone might, be a bit awestruck with the cameras, and they might look at it from almost like a nervy sort of point of view. But with her, it's like very intentional. It's like looking straight at you, and it's kind of like, oh my god, shocking. Like, it's like quite jarring. And I think it's something that can be sort of interpreted as almost like, and it's almost like putting you in a trance, I guess, because you're like, oh my god, like you're almost fixated, hyper focused, and
Yeah. She does other things as well to sort of unnerving things, and also has a repetition that's grounding. She uses people's names over and over in slightly awkward ways. Always dropping people's names in just a way that's like, when people do it once, it's like, okay, they know your name. When they keep using it in every sentence, it feels weird.
Yeah.
And I noticed she did that a lot. I thought that was pretty great. She's also presented in some ways that are quite unnerving. So she's meant to be 13. So when she's in some shots that sort of have a dress a bit ridden up, you're a little uncomfortable. It's a little uncomfortable for me. Then they do all the things you kind of expect with the voice changes, the much more adult way of speaking. All these things get very unnerving very quick.
Yeah.
It is distracting you from what's actually going on, but it also makes it's a heck of a performance here. It really is.
Again, you say things about the voice changing. Again, it's stuff that you're primed beforehand when he does the VT about the Abraxas cult, and the recorded footage of I think it's their first session, I think, with June and Lily. and you hear that. So again, you're primed. You know what to expect if you've watched things like The Exorcist, which I think, when did that come out? I think that was
73.
Yeah, so in 1977, that would have been, that wouldn't be too far out of the general public's
No, this
memory.
1977. They'd have been
Yeah.
aware.
Exactly. So that again, the expectation, the people would have a set sort of expectation. I keep saying the word expectation, but they would know what to expect.
Of course,
Or
they would
have an
expect
idea.
projectile vomiting.
Exactly.
They would expect a sort of demonic voice. They would expect levitation, and thankfully nothing involving crucifixes in this sample. But basically, that's stuff that people have been primed for. Yeah, this is all working. We should talk about how Carmichael fits into the proceed. Well, should we talk about the background elements? Maybe a little bit more. You raised the cult of Abraxas, very obviously modelled on Anton LaVey's cults. Really sort of not subtly, but this is okay. This is absolutely fine. There's also the aspect of the Grove, which is very interesting in this film.
Yeah, we need to talk about Christo as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So definitely, we'll get that element in. I liked Christo. My goodness, as an Ed Wood appreciator, I liked Christo. Yes, you guys all shocked that I liked Ed Wood. It's one of my favorite films. Right. So the Grove is mentioned early on. Now, we don't really need to see that. It may be, thinking about it now, it possibly slightly harms your theory, but doesn't destroy it. In what we're presented as this sort of recovered footage, we're told about Jack Delroy's association with the Grove. Obviously bringing up, maybe obvious to me, maybe you're normal, but for me, I immediately thought of Bohemian Grove.
Right, you say that. My son mentioned Bohemian Grove before.
Oh, well, hey.
Before I connected the two.
Okay.
He was like, "Oh, Dad, that's like Bohemian Grove. That is." I was like, "How do you know?"
Okay, well, I don't know whether to be reassured by that or not.
I know, right?
My goodness. Okay. We're shown some stuff from there. We're shown the big trees, the woods. We're shown someone in an owl costume. By the way, what is it with the creepy owl costumes, TCG? First, Wise Owl, Owl Man from from Hex Horror Studios. What's going on with the creepy owls?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it's all. I think it's all linked to the rituals that supposedly take place at the Grove. Again, you say it harms it. I would say
depends if people were aware of it. They're certainly reminded of the Grove. So if there'd been an expose of it early on, they'd have seen that footage, including the owl head. So maybe they're expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I'm not too familiar. I only know Bohemian Grove by name, but I don't really know a lot about the lore. But yeah, I mean, the owl imagery is obviously presented throughout this show as well. The show is the night owl with Jack. I keep calling him Dorsey, Delroy. Yes. I wrote the name down, and I still call him bloody Dorsey. But yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not too sure what the symbolism is. I'm sure you'll have to educate me on this one.
It comes up a load of places. Basically, messengers in dreams would be owls, or associated with Athena from Wisdom. I've seen a load of owl head monsters recently. Brundlefly has brought up another. I don't know, the Owl Man killer from the movie Stage Fright.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that one. So they're about evidently. And hang on, relevant super chat here, so we'll get on to that in just a second. But the point is, it's another bit of priming because it will become very relevant. But We're going to have to spring the trap on this reading pretty soon. I swear we will. And we'll just lay all the pieces. So while we're still talking about the Grove, which the audience, including us and the audience in the context of the story, are primed to think of the Grove as mysterious, as esoteric, as having this weird symbology, and they're sort of reminded of it because of Night Owls being the name of the show. The reputation is kind of at the forefront here, and in fact you're reminded of it by Carmichael in a moment that I think has a couple of readings. But quickly, Adam Loves Horror sending in $9.99. Thank you ever so much. Saying 20 years ago I spent way too much time investigating the Bohemian Grove. Many such cases. I enjoyed the plug here for it, and it truly is a wild ride. Maybe I wish they'd done more. Gay Frogs in the Grove by Alex Jones. Yeah, I mean they are hinting at real things here. You know, if you're wondering what's going on with this, I don't know, politics of this are inscrutable, but referencing the Grove is quite interesting.
I will say that in the intro of the film, where you're getting Michael Ironside, who I initially thought was bloody Peter Cullen, he mentions the fact that, you know, this is what it's billed as. It's essentially it's a men's club for the rich, for the rich and the elite. But there's rumors that, you know, they do the odd bit of satanic rituals and, you know, get into the occult and here and there, and but it sort of alluded to it. And then sort of fast forward to what you're referencing, when Carmichael, I think it's at the second break or one of the early breaks, and he says to Jack, 'cause it turns out Jack is a member of the Grove. He's like, oh, you know, you really should introduce me to this Grove. I want to find out if what is it he says? I want to find out if the I can't remember what the other ones. It's just the orgies really that he mentions that sticks with me, because he's like, oh, especially the orgies. And then Jack turns around and says to him, you know, you overstate their influence, almost suggesting, like, you know, it's not the all powerful thing that it's rumored to be. And there is some weight to it, because when they're talking about the Grove in the intro, it says that, you know, again, Ironside, when he's narrating it, alludes that one of the purposes of the Grove is to essentially bump people up the ladder, you know, get them new opportunities and things like that. But continuously, Jack has one goal, and that goal is to become the #1 talk show in America. He wants to beat Johnny Carson, but he never does.
No, he's never made it. So yeah, exactly.
So,
in text, there's textual evidence that they are overstated.
Yeah. So actually, is it just a case of that it is actually just some men's club where some guys act, you know, where the guys just act a bit weird because, you know, there's they have the freedom to, you know, just be guys, or, you know, because you know, if he was a member of that Grove and they had that power and influence, and bearing in mind you are dealing with elites and you are dealing with rich people, things like that, wouldn't he be in a better position than he was now?
Exactly.
And in terms of his sacrifice, again, I question that.
We are presented one narrative within the show that I'll just get this up quickly. We're presented one reading is that in order to get success within the show, that Delroy actually sacrifices his wife. But as you say, he never really gets that success.
No.
Unless this is some kind of monkey's paw thing, like you got your success in the highest rated show ever, but it cost you everything. Maybe that is a reading. A lot of people walk away with it. We will go for a slightly different take in this as we go, but Adam Loves Horror with some wonderful esoteric knowledge. Yes, USA, so American friends, check your $1 bill, upper right corner has an owl. Yes. You got to wonder about this symbolism. You got to wonder. I'm just saying, it doesn't help, does it? It does not help. Oh, you should enjoy your owls. All we have is a diversity-built Britain 50p. Thanks, Rishi. God.
But again, if you've watched this film and you've seen everything, you've seen how the film's played out. If you are into the conspiracies, into stuff like that, you have an open mind, which they encourage people to have, especially with the show that they're presenting tonight. It does increase your chances for suggestibility, and so in terms of them being able to manipulate and influence and entrance you with what they have on show, that would increase. But the chances of that being effective are increased. Again, it's told indirectly through Carmichael later on, which again I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah,
yes, we've got to build up the basis for our reading, folks. We're building it up. I also want to say hi to Fez in the chat. Good to see you back in, man. And Fez, what are you drinking? We need to know. You're a man who chooses a fine beverage every time. Also, hi Tim WD. Good to see you. Lots of familiar faces. It's really nice to see you all in for this. Actually, while you're here, I'll do it. Come on, I've got to do the shill. Get the like pressed. Go on, just levitate up and shoot that like button with lightning. All that business. And while we're on a shill, let's just quickly say, folks, that the link to my Blockbuster series playlist is in the description to the video. If you haven't seen that yet, my magnum opus, then open that playlist, get it ready to go after this. Watch it another time. You will appreciate it. The algo has killed it. But I hope more people see it. All right, that's my shilling. Right, back to the good stuff. Oh, Barbara Dasty. I do not know it. I'm going to have to look that up. I feel like a Philistine. That does not ring a bell to me, Fez. Okay, shall we move on to Christou?
Yeah, let's go.
This is a bit of a classic device here. I'm just trying to find my picture of him. Where's my Christou? I'm struggling. I don't know if I have a Christou.
It's all the stage lights, isn't it? It's the stage lights.
Oh, where are they? I only found bad Christous. I'll give it another go. But they were denying me good Christou pictures.
While you're doing that, T says you should also shill your 197-part series on the BBFC.
The never-ending BBFC.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I've got my guy here. Yeah, we'll do this one. I know. I saw Jay. Jay was a bit annoyed with the lack of sticking to the bit. They didn't commit to the bit. Why didn't they commit to the bit? I get it, man. I do get it. I feel they eased. They told you pretty early they were not going to be 100% found footage, but I absolutely register your annoyance, and I know why you would be annoyed. And yes, I'm showing a bit of bias because I really enjoyed this one. It's sort of like how they didn't really commit to the grading of the footage, possibly thinking we would find it too jarring.
Maybe.
I didn't. Come on, guys. How much potato quality 1970s stuff have we watched on this channel? We love it.
Exactly. Would not have phased us in the slightest.
You know what, T? What I'll actually shill is my so far 2-part series on Kubrick with the Lotus Eaters. Get over there. Get over and watch my Kubrick series on the Lotus Eaters. The more people who turn up on that and spam it, ideally with, guys, longer, make them longer, the greater the chance I have of a 4-hour session just on Eyes Wide Shut alone. Come on, we can make it happen. All right. Sorry, let's talk Christou. I'm getting distracted.
So yeah, Christou is he's like one of these like spirit like a medium. If you know those people that will present themselves to an audience and they'll channel spirits of long lost family members, relatives, friends, and give them those reassuring messages from beyond the grave. He'll pass on the memos. That's his whole shtick for being here this evening. He's there to present his ability, and essentially shill some tours, shill some tour dates that he's got going on. How does he do? How does he do?
You see from the crawl that he's not playing massive venues. I quite like that. They're kind of telling you he's a bit low rent. That was very nicely done.
Yeah. I would say that this was something that he was one of those sort of like up and coming ones, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt here, but this is a really good point. Night Unfurls at Splendor, absolute. The comparison in terms of the footage quality, I think referencing The Devil of Christmas from Inside Number 9 is a great call. But there was another one that was on my mind recently for sort of fake faded footage. But the thing is, Devil of Christmas, they were so into it, they went back and used all the original equipment and even had to get a few people out of retirement to work it.
Oh, wow.
They were not messing around. They were not messing around at all. So yeah, really impressive stuff. This was obviously, because of their budget situation, this was done with just a few filters, probably in Premiere Pro, but you know. And Fez, I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad you liked it. I think about 2 films per episode is probably the sweet spot. But yeah, I love chatting Kubrick with those guys. Sorry. So he comes in, he does some cold reading. I would say he has a couple of, how can I say? The film is quite harsh on cold reading, or rather brutal with it. It shows him flopping. You can see what's going on. At this point, I think we're all kind of aware of how cold reading works.
Yeah.
So it's not really, we're not expecting much here. We do see an old gimmick as well, though. That's been done a few times, of like the fake medium who suddenly gets a real message.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. You may think Professor Trelawney in Harry Potter. Other examples are available. But yeah, after doing a bit of cold reading, the main point is he comes out with something sort of that breaks up the rhythm of the show. He gets a real message, an extremely sort of disturbing one, which messes him up. He's screaming Minnie. He's begging for someone to accept the message. Basically, if we're talking about priming TCG, maybe that is like priming the audience to engage.
Yeah.
Like there's that desperation. You have to engage. You have to engage with this.
Exactly. I do like the flopping though at the beginning though. That was quite funny. You know, when he was always I've got a Betty or Elizabeth, and it was like oh no, what was it? Peterson. Oh, Peterman. Yes. And I love the way he just runs straight over to that part of the area, and he's sort of like waving his hands, but like points to the guy, and then you know, good old Barry gets up. And it's like Peterman. He's like she has passed across. She's gone across to the other side, and he goes, I guess you could say that she ran off with my neighbour 5 years ago." And then the audience laughs. He's like, "Oh, but," and then Jack turns around and says, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that." He's like, "Oh no, don't be. My golf game's never been better." And then he's like, "But I'm hearing Betty or Elizabeth," and he's like, "Yes." No. He's like, "Yes." He's like, "So Betty," and he's like, "Yes, no, none of them, none of them." He's like, but I'm getting a B. It's like, my name's Barry, and he's like, "No, it's not." It's like, well, it is. It has been for the last 42 years. That's that whole bit. And he's like, no, the spirit is gone now. The spirit, I'm sorry. And then he like does the old thing, like where he blames the studio, the lights. You know, it's get mixed messages. It is and then he goes over to the 2 women, and then he gets it more or less spot on. He says Edmund, the name, but it's like I can't remember exactly the name, but yeah, then he accurately determines that, you know, it was the son / older brother of the 2 women. He sadly game overed himself, and you know, gives him a lovely message. Mentions the word papa as well, which referenced the teddy that he had when he was younger. Very sort of like one of those on point ones where you see the cold readings. Those cold readings are done like shockingly accurately. So he recovers from that quite well. And then, as you say, as the crawl's going across for his upcoming shows, that you get camera glitch, and then at that point, he's like, I'm getting another one, and then from that, and do you notice as well the accent drops?
Oh yes,
it goes from the I'm here to from the Middle East to tell you about my talent. It's and then it goes to Minnie. I'm getting the name Minnie, and then like, is it like is it a Millie Maddie? No, it's Minnie. Like, very specific. Like he's like, please accept. Like somebody, please. I see an unmarried man with a wedding ring, wearing a wedding ring, and like nobody says anything, and then like after a little while, his eyes roll back, rolling into the back of his head, and then eventually it goes, and you can tell like he's legitimately like stressed about it, and then he never quite recovers from that point, like coughing
it was well done. I wouldn't say it like hugely worked for me. It didn't give me much of a spook, but I thought it was delivered well. It kept on the tension. We also get the bit of Carmichael comes in and speaks to those two women who had the really accurate read.
Correct.
And confirmed some of the techniques that we all know that they basically had been pumped for information beforehand.
Exactly. So I mean, his role throughout obviously is he's kind of he's kind of that James Randi. I don't know if you're familiar with James Randi.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he is that. He is him personified, basically. He's that magician turned skeptic who quite literally, like Randy did, offered a cash reward for anyone who could like prove beyond a shadow of a doubt their supernatural claim.
There was one thing about this guy. I wanted to know what else he'd done.
Okay.
I was brought back to wonderful memories of 2003, 2002.
Okay.
TCG.
What did he do?
Same dude.
No way!
It's him. This guy was Bane, the real-life human being who got taken over by Agent Smith in Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions.
No way!
It's him. Yes.
Oh my days!
I'll be honest. I was just looking at the cast list to see if every single one of them had been in Home and Away. Sadly, only 2. But we'll.
Oh, Brundlefly, we have a whole segment on guest appearances, shall we say?
Oh yes. So yes, he's based on James Randi very, very directly. But his relationship with Delroy is what is super interesting here. Delroy, we see, is not a super straight player. He tells Christou, "Don't worry about Carmichael. Don't worry about him. He's was it more wax than wick? Basically,
I think something like that. Yeah,
it's all fine." Carmichael then savages him. He is not light. He is not gentle. He absolutely tears Christou apart. You get the feeling that, okay, actually, Delroy's kind of okay with Carmichael. He's pretty tight with him.
I don't think he is, because he does sort of say like afterwards when he's talking to him, he goes over to Leo Fisk, who's the producer. And he's like, what have I told you about leaving me alone with that arsehole or something like that? But again, going back to the intro, it's you're told that after the death of his wife, when Jack comes back after only a month of being, of grieving, really, they to try and compete with Johnny Carson's late night show, they try and almost take it like down a Jerry Springer-esque route where they will get people with conflicting views on the show, to try and amp up the drama, and get those, just get the ratings up, really. And essentially, Christou and and Carmichael serve that purpose. You've got the guy who claims to have supernatural powers against the guy who is, very much fedora wearing, actually that kind of person. So you've got these two characters clashing, and really for Jack, it's how does he benefit from it? I think he's more on the side of Christou if you were to go with sort of what his belief systems are, because as the film goes on, he does become more confrontational against Carmichael, and his views, but yeah, I mean he's I don't want to say exploiting Christou, but he knows what he's doing by having him and Carmichael in the same room together.
Yeah,
And
he throws him to the wolves.
yeah, and it pays off as well. Carmichael gets a drink thrown, gets his water thrown over his face when he insults Christou, and he goes storming off. He's getting they're getting everything they need.
If I may, I really like that moment when Christou was trying to leave the set and couldn't. He was pulling on the door and was not allowed to leave. I really like that in terms of just like building up the tension, making you uneasy.
Yeah, well, even in the commercial break, when they were doing the backstage bit, he wasn't allowed to leave at that point, was he? Because they sat him down with the chair. Leo comes up to him and he's like, "Are you okay to continue?" And just before Christou even gets out the first word, he like slaps him on the back and he's like, it's the spirit." Just carry on. Okay.
So I mean, I suppose there's one more element of Carmichael that we need to bring in to discuss your theory. Just to emphasize that Carmichael knows whereof he speaks. He knows the tricks of the trade. And especially as regards hypnosis.
Yes.
At this point, shall we kind of lay out your theory of your reading of what is actually happening in the film? Or shall I do like the straight read and then you do your read?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. The straight read of the film is that Delroy, desperate for ratings, is encouraging conflict by bringing Carmichael on to his Halloween spectacular, where he's going to have Christou do his thing of cold reading psychic work, but the real effort is on the far more controversial case of Lily, who is the survivor of a cult that was feted to extinction and is believed to be possessed by the devil, a devil she refers to as Mr. Wriggles, who it's got this kind of innocuous name. It reminds you of like The Exorcist and Captain Howdy, something that, does not sound threatening at all. She's brought on with her psychiatrist, who is convinced by Delroy and the pressure of the audience to do a live hypnosis session to speak with Mr. Wriggles, who is meant to be the devil or the demon Abraxas. That possession happens. Supernatural stuff is demonstrated, but the demon Abraxas is not calmed. And even though our skeptic Carmichael Haig attempts to demonstrate with Gus that hypnosis is sort of works on both the viewer at home and the person it's done on, and therefore it was all fake and gay. In fact, the demon is there not playing around and starts loosing chaos as punishment on Jack for being super ambitious and making deals with the devil in the grove with rituals. Jack then has a somewhat hallucinatory journey where he's in his own psychic sphere, confronting his own past wrongs in a nightmarish reality. That would be... ultimately he comes out of this and we find out that he has ended things by game overing Lily after she has game overed everyone else. There we go. That's the straightforward reading of the film. But
Right.
But
But all right, I will caveat this by saying that this is still very much working theory. Like I say, I'm watching it. I really genuinely feel like I should do a video on this or something. But I would argue that none of it's real. None of it is real. It is a mass hypnosis that is carried out by I couldn't tell you who at this stage. I would suspect I would suspect it's something from the studio that might have got out of control. But essentially, you, the viewer, have been primed at the very start to expect, because obviously you're watching a horror movie, you're told it's found footage, it's clearly not. It's you're getting all these sort of layered clues throughout. You're primed with camera glitches to suggest that something spooky is about to happen. I'm working with the theory that it's all in your head. Everything that you see is in your head. Yeah, it's not real. It's not real. You're an easily suggestible lot, as Carmichael says. It's good to know as well. And that suggestibility plays to their advantage because they're able to present a narrative of a story that you are essentially in a trance throughout, you completely buy into it. Yeah,
I would venture that Carmichael has got to be the technical advisor on all of it for how to do it.
Quite possibly.
Delroy, we know, is desperate for ratings.
Yeah.
And comes back and wants to do something sensational, something unforgettable. And that's why I believe he and the network would be okay with it.
Yeah.
With trying something that that is so particularly, heinous. He'd be up for it. He knows on a small budget he needs a sensation, so he works with Carmichael to do that mass hypnosis on the audience. But I would venture the slight wrinkle is that Carmichael isn't exactly the friend to Delroy that he thinks he is, or they aren't as aligned as they think. We know that Carmichael wants to get into the Grove, and I think possibly stabs Delroy in the back a bit as part of it.
Yeah. I just want to talk about the hypnosis on Gus as well. Doing something like that where they hypnotize not just the subject but the audience and even the viewers at home, that is something that has been done before, and I can say that because it actually worked on me. I am easily suggestible, unfortunately. Darren Brown did this episode where he hypnotized people in a studio and also at home to basically get them stuck on their chair. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Do you remember that?
I haven't seen that episode.
Yeah. So he hypnotized a whole bunch of people to get stuck, to essentially stuck you on your chair. It worked for me. Genuinely worked for me. Yeah, it was quite an experience. So seeing something like this is completely plausible in my personal opinion.
I've read Darren Brown's books. I've read his magic trade books as well. He is filthy in them. It's quite funny. But the way he talks about hypnosis is, I think, really compelling. He talks about there's nothing magic. It's just extreme suggestibility, and it won't work on everyone. But for some people, they'll be really persuaded by it. Just the same way you can be talked into relaxation by just someone sort of what they call the old meditation tapes. They can talk you into a sense of relaxation. And Darren Brown also talks something really, I think, telling is he talks about, in order to make a trick work, sometimes it actually really helps to tell people you're doing a trick on them.
Yeah.
Because they actually become a bit more predictable if they're thinking within that context.
Exactly. There was also another time as well where he made an audience completely forget about a show that he'd done. like the show that he was presenting. he was telling them throughout, which is a great example because he was telling them throughout, you will forget everything that happens here tonight. Everything that happens in this show tonight, you will forget by the end of the show, by the time you leave. So he's like you say, he's already telling him. It's nothing subtle about it. It's in your face. And then they interviewed a bunch of people afterwards. Oh, what do you think of the show? Yeah, it was really good, really good. Yeah, what was the one thing that you really liked about it? And they were like, what? But yeah, so what's really interesting about this bit is you're hypnotized quite openly. He gets the old watch out and does the old spinny thing. Gets the old spinning thing. So you're in that moment you're hypnotized, and then he performs the act. What's interesting about this scene compared to other bits throughout the film is there's no camera glitches.
Oh,
your priming has come from a different source for this particular bit, and that is through the subtle hint that the audience are suggestible, the fact that he turns around and says that he's going to perform a mass hypnosis on the audience, and then continues with the act, and you're only snapped out of it when he says that thing, dreamer here awake, and that at that point, because Gus is snapped out of it, by proxy you are snapped out of it, because that's the wake up, that is the wake command for that particular moment. However, because you've been put in a trance earlier on with regards to the whole other stuff that's going on with Lily and all the strange goings on in the studio, I suggest that you haven't been woken up from that at that point, because when you go back and look at the footage, whilst you see the reality of what happened with Gus, you're still in a state of suggestibility when it comes to what you see with Lily and Jane's sort of, not exorcism, but the whole sort of possession, awakening of Mr. Briggles. And it's not only until the very end of the film that you're snapped out of it by the same 3 words.
True. Just to confirm, that is the very end. You get the same words, dreamer now awake. It is a nice detail. I love that you caught that, because I thought, I watched it, I thought, why has he said that then? Why has he said that then? We need to be careful with our vocab here, because as Adam Loves Horror says, for $2, it's an illusion. A trick is something a whore does for money. Of
He's
course,
not wrong.
You don't need to attribute that, Adam. We know where that comes from. Why, if you sent 4 more of those, we could go see a Star Wars. I'm a big fan of those. I love that series.
And Wholesome Chicken Wrangler says my audio sounded really good today. I haven't done anything with it. Or I might have plugged it into a different USB port. That might be the only thing.
Sometimes that will do it. Sometimes that's all you need. Hey, let's stick on this scene. Like, I love this reading. I love the alternate reading. We should probably talk about the film as is. So, this is one of those slightly bravura sequences. I mean, it's followed the possession. We'll talk about the possession sequence after this. But this is, how can I say, this is a real treat for horror fans, I think. This is where we just get some wonderful practical gore effects.
Oh, it was amazing. Loved it.
It just creative, very creative. Just when he shows. So if you haven't seen it yet, you're sort of fed little things about, oh, you hate worms. Gus hates worms. They're creepy. And he just casually talked about, oh, you got a cut on your neck. And then he turns around. It's a massive cut. You already get the idea. Okay, he's hypnotized. There's no way he has that big gash on his neck. And then they just amp it up. And you're seeing some, I think, very hard gore. Just
definitely
disgusting imagery of worms coming out. And then they escalate it and escalate it until you've got the just this massive nematode creature pushing out. Was it pushing out of his eyeball?
Eyeball, yeah.
Oh,
I love that word, nematode. I love that.
yes. There you go. Hey, that's a pub quiz winner, folks. What family do worms belong to? Nematodes. There you go. I don't know if it was actually a worm, but it looked like it was in that family. So
I think
nematode.
it was meant to be a giant worm, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was just, yeah, I loved it. It was pure schlock. We got into Cronenberg territory.
Yes.
The film had been kind of restrained up until this point.
Mm.
So I really enjoyed the move into absolute splatter and creative body horror splatter. That was a delight.
It did kind of have it all, didn't it? I mean, it had a little bit of CGI with Christou vomiting with the black vomit, and I think the eyes rolling back was a CGI effect as well. You got the beautiful body horror, like you say, with Gus. That was that was amazing. And hell, for the modern audiences these days, you have a little bit of AI as well. Why not?
And, people have already hinted at the other source of horror, which is very well done. I'm just trying to find our possession scene. We will talk about the wonderful, some of the wonderful subtle bits that will keep people going back, hunting for more. And you talked about them in terms of the glitches, but that's a whole other type of horror they have in here.
Yeah.
You said before we came on, this is going to be the kind of thing that people will revisit and pick apart.
Yeah.
I'm totally agreed. There are depths to this film that I think people will mine. They're going to come up with readings like you did that, I like our reading. I think we're pushing it. And I'd like to say we're a bit ahead of the curve. Maybe we need to refine it in some areas, but the idea that everything is mass hypnosis that you're primed for, I think it's pretty solid.
I'm absolutely convinced, and sorry to sort of detract a little bit, but one thing that sort of I feel like really adds to it is during the commercial breaks, you've got that one stagehand, that black gentleman who's going around like organising, and on a couple of occasions you'll hear him, you'll see him looking into like cameras, and he'll be speaking to someone on the end of the earpiece, and he's like, "I'm not whatever it is you're seeing, I'm not seeing it on my end." He's like, you need to sort it out because I'm not seeing anything. Just tells me that man isn't suggestible. He's not seeing. He's not under that hypnosis. He's not seeing the things because he's not been primed. However, the guy on the other end of the earpiece has been, and he's like, this, he's seeing something spooky and paranormal, and he's like, oh my god, have you seen that? And he's like, no, what are you talking about? Like, just get on with your job, mate. It's like little subtle things like that just make me think, okay, something bigger's going on here. Something more in depth.
I realize this is a kind of thing that it's much easier to do this in a video where we can just once we've run the copyright gauntlet on YouTube, we can just like line the clips up one after another.
Yeah. And there's like another bit as well when he just, again, it's a throwaway line, but it tells you so much. Like the same guy is like, nothing's been fixed here since 1956, which would explain why things are breaking, like the lights and the theremin instrument that Gus was using earlier on that starts playing by itself. But again, if you're in a heightened state, if you're in a trance, you may see that as something more paranormal than actually technical. Just
priming the audience.
Exactly.
Priming the audience.
Yeah.
Which is so because it is kind of the same thing that works in a straightforward horror film. Is you build up the weird bit by bit. There's a creak in the night. What caused the creak? There's a knock at the door. Huh, there's no one there. And it's, you don't see a ghost until the end of Act 2. Come on.
Yeah.
But also this priming, it works the same way here for this trick. But we should talk about the possession scenes before we go to the hidden images and the glitches.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me what you thought about this scene, TCG.
I thought it was good. I quite enjoyed it. June Ross, the Doctor, Just to give a background, she's actually the carer. She's actually Lily's carer. Initially, she was brought in to assess her because after the house fire, where from the death cult or whatever, as you would imagine, this young girl would have been very, very damaged, and there was a lot of repressed memories, and so it was June's job to go in and try and unpick all of that trauma. But she became she had a connection. She grew a connection with Lily, and as I say, became a carer. And together they got to this stage now where she's able to connect. Initially, June's purpose is to come here and promote the book about Lily, but immediately from the get-go, she's very sort of reluctant to continue with the original plan, which was to do this. She was, Lily's behavior was becoming unpredictable, and she was concerned that it was too much for her. Eventually, she's essentially peer pressured into doing this. I thought
lots of excellent priming of, we shouldn't do it, we shouldn't do it, we shouldn't do it, it's too dangerous.
Yeah,
it's too
exactly. Yep.
Great build up.
And yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, did you catch the subtle like face change because it gets to a point where when Mr. Wriggles comes to the surface, you see Lily's face change. Like, it's very sort of, it is Exorcist-esque, if you will. Like, the cuts across the face, there's physical changes to Lily.
I think I messaged you and asked if she had actually had a boy actor swapped in at one point. Just because she suddenly looked really different in just one of the early shots.
Is it when she goes to buy it?
Oh, no, it's it's like when she first looks up, it's like suddenly she's very masculine.
I see.
And it's only for a few shots, and then it's back to normal. I don't know if they just sort of built her face up, maybe.
I think it was more they built her face up, because I didn't see anything in the credits, in the casting list to suggest that. But
But they did the glitches. They did the voice as well. There is it's one of the things that people picked up a lot because it was in the trailer. Is there is a really notable glitch with a face change that looks very demonic.
And that's so she starts saying some, because it's alluded as well that June and Jack aren't just friends, if you will. There's something more romantic going on. Lily does say a couple of times, Dr. June says you're very handsome.
Yeah, Dr. June wouldn't choose the bear, would she?
Jack and June go up the hill to kick each other's brains out, she says as well. And then she gets a slap in the face.
Hang on, I've got it being slapped.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, here we go. I've also got the face change.
Yes, brilliant. Yes. Yeah, so June slaps her, and then she goes, "Oh, no, why would you do that?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry." And then when she reaches in, that you see that again. It's so quick. It's like it is a blink and you miss it. And then she leans back, and then she performs. I wouldn't call it an exorcism because she doesn't expel the demon, but she definitely sends it back and brings Lily back forward. And that's obviously when Carmichael's like, "This is ridiculous," and then does his trick. Or his illusion, sorry. His illusion,
absolutely. Remember, we got to get that right.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Arrested Development tributes in 2024. I love it. See, it's not just me. There are dozens of us.
Yeah.
Dozens. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, no, I've got the wrong one here. We want we want this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done. The use of the CG to enhance it, I think, is excellent, with just those quick changes. It's a lot of the scares that we expect, that you would say we're primed to expect, but I think it's delivered well. The pacing is good. It's absolutely sold by the performers. All the things that I talked about, like her looking directly into the camera, directly into your soul.
Yeah.
Start unnerving you, the way she refers to people by their name constantly, right, TCG? Don't you think, absolutely, TCG, that when people do that, it sounds a bit unusual? You know that, right, TCG?
It is proper horror show, I must say. It can be quite uncomfortable, proper horror show.
Like, she made it creepier way before they did the voice change, but there's a
Yeah.
nice delay. She hides the face. If we're going back to our horror theory, if we're going back to Freud, not being able to see the face unnerves us. You may think back to The Shining. Remember the first time that Danny talks to Tony is in the bathroom. We see from outside the bathroom, looking down a long hallway, that Danny is facing a mirror, talking to himself, but we can't see his face. It's blocked off by the door. This is an early horror theory. If we can't see someone's face, we get a bit unnerved. Kubrick posting, it never stops. Yeah, they're feeding on that. Also feeding on a bit of the imagery, you know, your Sadako from The Ring, all that good stuff.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I thought this was good. I thought this scene was really good.
Mm.
It just hits all the right notes for me, you know?
It's very nicely done. I think the levitating will probably be a bit divisive because
Yeah.
it's they can, as far as I remember, it's delivered from the camera angle, which makes it look a bit flat.
Yeah.
But that was kind of them committing to the bit that they had to show it from a studio camera angle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you mean about the about the chair. What I would say though is if you as the audience, an audience member, are seeing worms being pulled out of someone's neck, stomach, and then eventually someone's head, you know, is it too far fetched that if you are, I keep going back to my theory, but it's not too much of a stretch to then think, oh, actually, you know, if I'm in a heightened state at that point, then of course I'm going to, in my mind, envisage this chair being lifted off the ground in levitation because, you know, it's something I would expect to see from previous exorcisms, talking conversations with demons through the media that I've observed in the past. It's consistent. Equally, if you look at it from a straight edge, you know, if you look at it from the straight narrative point of view, again, if it's an argument between the paranormal and the skeptical, you know, again, it's consistent. It's really clever.
Oh, exactly. It could feed either narrative. They also feed the sort of narrative about the grove and Jack sacrificing his wife. A little bit in that, like, we met in the grove.
That's right. We met in the met in the tall trees.
Oh, that's it. We met in the tall tree. Oh, I love that line. Watch out for that next time I update the intro.
Yes.
That and a few lines from Bloody Bit of Horror that I've saved. I've had it saved for ages because it's so good. Never mind. Yeah, it's the scene may be familiar, but I think it was delivered very well, very completely. And again, just Lily's actress, just absolutely fantastic in it. Really liked her. Best actor in the film, if you ask me.
Oh, she was great.
That's not to say that we're not fans of oh God, how do you do his name? David Dastmalchian. Apologies, I'm really sorry. This guy has been everywhere, by the way.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely everywhere. Whereas I've got
I think he's in one of the X-Men films, isn't he?
Hang on. The X. Oh, I don't know. He was in the Belko Experiment that I don't remember. He's one of these guys. We're going to start looking him up, and you're going to realize, hang on, he's been everywhere. So he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's right. Yep.
He was also he was in The Dark Knight. Can you remember?
Oh my God! Yes, yeah, he is. Oh my God! He's not Scarecrow, is he?
No.
Oh.
It's in Dark. He's the schizo guy that tries to assassinate. That they capture, and he's like, Batman captures him, and they say no, he's a paranoid schizophrenic. He doesn't know anything. I think it's that guy.
I'd have to go back and watch it, but no, I can see his face. Like I can picture his face in it. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus! Yeah.
People were enjoying that he was in the Suicide Squad as a polka dot man.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yep. And apparently he was also in Oppenheimer. I have not seen Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I did see he got credited for that. I wouldn't know what he played, like what
No.
what his role is. Yeah.
And also you'll have seen him in Twin Peaks: A Return, as for 3 episodes.
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have.
I have not seen Twin Peaks: A Return. I'm afraid I did not make it out of season 2. I feel very bad about it. I'm one of these weird people. How can I say? I really like people unpicking Twin Peaks a lot more than I liked watching Twin Peaks.
He played the bomb. Batman would know, after all.
That tickled me far more than some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Oh dear. Right. Yeah, he did a very solid job on this.
Yeah.
I read that he got the role because he had been working with Fangoria magazine and put together a piece on horror hosts.
Ah.
Well, hey,
fellow horror host appreciator.
Exactly. You gotta love a guy who knows his horror hosts. So yeah, we appreciate that and put himself forward for it. Sorry, we got distracted a bit there. We were talking about some of the priming for the Dead Wife material. So we should maybe move into that now. Because this is one of the other types of horror that was hidden in here.
Flanaganisms.
Flanaganisms, indeed. Well, I still think it's quite fresh. I don't think it's been mined too much. Although I will say, I'm so sad to say this. I complained about Mike Flanagan's last series, The Midnight Club, justifiably cancelled on Netflix after 1 season. If you're a member of the channel, you can see my video on that. It was a quick one, just detailing some of the awful problems in that series. And very sad to say, I was like, okay, it could be a blip, because I usually love this guy's stuff. I'll give it a go next time. Fall of the House of Usher. Giving Edgar Allan Poe stories the treatment that he did H.R. James. Oh, sorry if I got the wrong James there, folks. For Turn of the Screw. I made it 1 episode. Flanagan's gone completely over. It's not Netflix. Netflix isn't making him do this. The main character has 6 kids of 5 different races, 2 of whom are gay. It's so distracting. These are largely actors I like. I hate complaining about Rahul Kohli being in anything because he's fantastic. But gosh darn it, it was so distracting.
Is it so Mike Flanagan has taken the Russell T Davies pill then, I'll take it?
100%.
No.
He has gone full Russell T Davies. The days when Davies was restrained a little bit. And it's like, Flanagan, what are you doing, man? He's completely gone into it. It's just levels of race bending that shouldn't even be possible.
Bending but not breaking.
Yeah, I wanted to like it. Believe me, I wanted to like it, but I couldn't get past that first episode with it. So it's a nope from me. It's a duck out. Never mind. Sorry. Anyway, Flanaganisms is what got me off on that. Of which we're talking about the hidden ghosts phenomenon, which forgive me, which Flanagan really popularized in The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor, which he was partially inspired by The Innocents from, I want to say, 1961. Check if I'm wrong. Oh, hang on, what's this? Is this true, Essie?
Oh, blimey.
Oh, no. TCG, can you research?
Okie dokie.
We need to know.
Right. Here we go. Let's go.
We need to know. Yeah, the NREAB, I'm very sorry, man. The Midnight Club was not as bad as Fall of the House of Usher, but I think if you see my video, my big complaint is like half of the episode does not need to happen. It sets up a lot of storylines and characters that you never hear from again.
Is it Jamie Flanagan?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Jamie Flanagan co-wrote a fair few episodes.
Pronouns he, they, she.
No.
Yeah.
Hang on. Enjoy the... Sorry, the stream is getting completely okay. Yes, all right. This... Okay.
I just thought that it's getting derailed.
Sorry, I just clicked the link. All right, Essie is completely correct. That is good information.
Which might explain some of the decisions that Mike Flanagan is doing. I am not going to pass judgment on that. I am just going to say that might explain some of those creative decisions.
Yeah, I think it might. Sad to say. Sometimes you get the treatment. Sometimes you get glooped. Pretty hard. And I think we've seen that occur. Oh, dear. Never mind. Right. Oh, the good days of Flanagan. Remember them. When he did his great Stephen King tributes by making great stuff and ballsing up the ending. Now he's gone the full Stephen King route and become a complete post 2016 shitlib. It's his whole life as a Stephen King tribute act. Oh no. Oh, crikey. So anyway, what we're talking about was the hidden ghosts thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Popularized in The Haunting of Bly Manor, and I think very much inspired by things like The Innocents, where there are little hints of ghosts that you can catch. Now, The Innocents, it is not subtle, but I think it built up the idea. I'm sure there are ones where it was more subtle, blinking you miss it things.
Yeah.
But Flanagan leaned in on it and made it a treat for you to be able to go back and look for hidden things.
Yes.
Now, I'll share the thread because someone's done the good work and I want them to get the credit here.
Absolutely. While you're getting that ready, that's what I really liked about the first watch through we did of Mike Flanagan's. Oh, what was it? Was it The Haunting of Bly Manor that we did first off? I think
I'm
it was.
Not sure. We may have.
Because we did his second show first, and then his first show second.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we did the second one, I didn't even know about the hidden ghosts. It was only until we started we started talking about the stream that you and Harry were going on about, and I'm like, what? Hold on, what? And then I had to go back and catch them all again, which I really enjoyed. I loved it.
I mean, it also helps that both of those series, final episodes aside, are pretty fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite delightful actually to learn, because the same thing happened here. I was like, oh, this has got hidden ghosts and ghouls, right? I'm all in. Multiple rewatches. But yeah, sorry. Anyway,
it really does reward it. You know. Adam Horror, have a good night, friend. Thank you so much for the super chats earlier. Very much appreciated. And I hope we've convinced you to give this one a go. You know,
please do. Definitely.
Probably see it with a different eye now. But yeah, good to see you, man. Glad you can make the streams. So let's talk about these hidden images. They all center around Jack Delroy's wife, and they're called with the nickname Minnie here.
Yeah.
What was the normal name?
Madeline.
Madeline? Yes.
Madeline, yeah.
So we're shown her extensively, so we know how she looks. But then we'll just go through a few of them. This one, I really like this opening one.
Yeah. So this is during the intro sequence that Michael Ironside's narrating. So I don't know if you can zoom in, but if you look at the TV screen, ignore the figure on the left-hand side, the woman on the left-hand side, because I don't think that's relevant. But if you look at the TV screen, you can just make out the outline of Madeline directly behind Jack.
Yeah. The first one I caught was a kind of obvious one. Hang on, let's scroll down to it. This one.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant. I loved that.
This one I liked. I thought that was maybe too obvious, but this
Yeah.
I loved
It's
because
the
that was there
hat.
for about 2 seconds for you to go, hang on,
Yes.
what?
So again, if you haven't seen this, so when they're reviewing the footage, so they've done the Carmichael footage, and they're oh no, we've been hoodwinked, we were tricked, we were hypnotized. That must mean, that proves the theory that Carmichael was trying to put across, that this was all fake. And then Lily's like, well, why don't you show our footage? So they go through the footage, and then you play it frame. It gets to a point where they're playing it frame by frame because it's consistent with what they originally saw. And then you see you see Madeline behind holding his shoulder, and then it pans. So what you're seeing on the left image is the screen, frame by frame, and then immediately it goes to Jack when he realizes, and the hand's there, and then it pans, and then the camera angle changes again away, and there's no hand. But it's like you say, Horrorshow, it's literally like blink and you miss it.
Best way to do it. But most of them are quite subtle.
Yeah.
You're not given it. They're either very well hidden, like this one, where she's just faintly in the TV.
Yep.
That's a lovely shot, by the way.
That they say that's subtle though, but in that particular scene, the TV screen starts flickering, so you're getting the glitch on the TV, and it is quite attention grabbing because you're getting a so your attention is drawn to that. That one where they've done the outline of Madeline, the one above it, that one there, I didn't spot that one. I didn't spot that one, but I did spot the one afterwards, which is the third one.
Yeah, I just want to watch this again and look for them and see how they're integrated. They're just so nicely done.
I missed the one on the table as well.
Yeah. So just a massive kudos to Browse Horror here for putting this together, and apparently Browse Horror also had some help from La Llorona. I'm just having a check. Oh dear. Never mind.
Dear.
Anyway, great thread.
It's always the case, isn't it? It's always the case.
See, look.
Yes. Oh yeah, here as well. Yep.
This is going to be great. There's going to be so much more. I think people are going to be mining this film for ages to get the good stuff. I don't know if I want to click on that.
I'll tell you what. Come off. Stop sharing. Check it. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'll check it. I'll check it.
I go back to this one.
I'll
you want to be careful getting Twitter out on screen. It's not like Poe, sharing your DMs constantly.
All right, let's have a quick look. I love this movie. Update. I'm told there was an actual sighting of the devil himself. Is that what it's like?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry.
They showed this. This was quite easy to see, though, to be honest.
Oh, I saw that one, yeah. So they're talking... Yeah, it's during the... Yeah, I spotted that one. That was at the hour 19 mark of the film, where the demonic face appears through the white noise. I saw that one. But yeah, the one with the face, sort of like... Almost like... what's his name? Bloody Harry Potter. No-nose.
Oh, Voldemort.
Voldemort, thank you. 2 hours sleep. Yeah, where she like Voldemort's onto the back of Lily's head. I spotted that, but they didn't. Yeah, they didn't. It didn't show when they were going through the frames, which I thought was a bit frustrating. I thought they would have.
Oh, that's a Ghostwatch classic. Is to show it you one way, and then when you review the footage, it's not there.
Yeah.
I also thought when they started going frame by frame, I got really tense.
Yes.
Excellent decision.
And each frame they were skipping slow, getting to the next frame slower and slower and slower and slower.
These guys nailed the pacing in this. I really do think.
Yeah.
Just the overall conceit of we've got to do this in an hour's show or however long they've got, but I think they kind of made it clear it's an hour. You know the format. When you have the ad breaks, you've got an internal sense of pacing. It just built up the tension. When like, we've got a few minutes left. Oh, we got to bump it now. We've got to bump Cleo, who's going to play us out. Bump like Matt Damon. It really helped ground it in the time, and you have that strong sense of pacing. Oof, perfect. Great. Perfect is maybe strong, but
do you know what I love?
It was well done.
Well, do you know what I love about the pacing as well? And the tension and sort of like that was almost like a release valve of that tension. So you'd get let's say before the possession scene with June and Lily, they're like, he's like, the camera sort of slowly closes in on Jack as he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to potentially have a conversation with the devil, and it's really sort of serious, calm, slow, and he goes, but first a word from our sponsors. But not before a word from our sponsors.
Branch, right?
It's
then
like,
it's Bowl and Branch.
Yeah. It's like, because again, if you're watching TV, that's something that will always happen, isn't it? Who wants to be a millionaire? It's the £1 million, £1 million or $1 million question. You've picked option C, and they've gone, are you correct? We'll find out after the break. It's like, no, it just plays. It played right into it. I loved it.
Is Clarkson doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire now?
He is now, yeah, the Britain's sexiest man for the second year running.
Yeah. Dan Tubb robbed. But yeah, good go. Sorry, I should get so distracted by it, but see fellow Bowl and Branch appreciators here. References that will become very impenetrable in a few years. Never mind.
Yeah, he goes full Shapiro. Yeah, exactly. But first, you want some skin cream? I can tell you some skin cream while you're laying on your super comfortable mattress whilst you're playing with your Swiss Army knife and blah, 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 blah.
Too good. Oh, the man can have you halfway through a shield before you even realise he's gone shilling.
Yeah, before you know it, you've got a new mattress on the way.
Oh.
You've stocked up on your you've stocked up on your basement food supplies for the upcoming nuclear war.
I literally have, but hey, that's
he got you.
He got me. Oh, what can I say? Yeah. So where were we in this? Yeah, the intercutting between the behind the scenes was good as well. Again, the tension, like you're going live any second, extra tension. Oh,
wrong
good
seat
stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. So it's building up to that payoff. We know there's going to be a big payoff. There was also another great moment where I think mistakes could have been made and they avoided them. When he's given the tray full of props, he's still got the dagger and he puts it down within Lily's grasp. You must have been watching that and thinking, she's going to grab it.
Do you know, I
didn't. Going to grab it. No?
I didn't know.
Oh, man. I was convinced she was still possessed and she was going to grab it and go to town. I was watching that knife the whole time.
I really wasn't. I don't know. But now you mention it, I think it's just, again, I think it's just because I was distracted with other... I was really into the story, basically. And me and my wife both said at the end of it, after watching it, we were like, we could just go back and watch that just for his presentation style because it was so soothing and so just so good, Yeah, it felt very natural. It was very, it felt very much like an actual late night TV show in that regard, in its format, its layout, presentation. It was like watching Parkinson back in the day. It felt very much like that.
Oh, totally. The way sort of each part of the show felt like a chapter. Like there are many parts of this that are just are worth watching for, and just excellent presentation. But yeah, the use of tension. This is not the director's first film. I need to get the names right because it's pair of brothers. Colin. I hope they're brothers. They could be husbands. I don't know. Colin Cairnes and Cameron Cairnes. Let's not confirm the relationship.
It would be
awkward. It could be Alabama mode. Maybe they're both.
Yeah, it could be brothers and husbands.
Anyway, so it's directed by Roll Tide and Colin Cameron Cairnes. Not their first. They've got a few behind them. One a lot more focused on directing, the other a bit more on editing. But this is not their first rodeo, and I think that helps them produce something that's a heck of a lot more polished and well-paced. But what I wanted to say was eventually, this is going to be a really divisive bit. They get towards that end where my eyes were just focused on that dagger. I was predicting the stabby rampage. You know, she was going to go full London and richer, and it never happened.
It didn't.
It was not part and parcel of being on a 70s variety show. That's what I was expecting. The payoff itself was something that people have mentioned as not working for them. The lightning effects. I mean, it's quite a memorable visual, but yeah, everything kicks off. Lily goes Super Saiyan, and
She actually does, yeah.
she does. This is going to be divisive. I don't have a picture of it. You know, I don't tend to do the big payoff shots. I want you to watch the film and have it in context. But I think this is going to be really tricky. After building up tension for all the film, this is kind of like our moment in the slasher where you have to take the mask off. You have to finally see the monster. And as we know, seeing the monster is almost always the worst bit. And I think the effect that they chose for, as bombastic and audacious as it was, that's going to be the bit where you kind of lose a few people because it's not exactly what you hoped for. For me, it leaned a bit too much like Hellraiser effects, and I was hoping for something a little more carry and stabby. A lot more grounded, you know?
Yeah, so was I. I think it would have been so much better. I said this in my review, well, my closing thoughts on it. But I feel like with the way they were going with the whole Minnie and Jack sort of angle, I would have much preferred to have seen a more sort of emotional, more intimate sort of expose, like especially if you're going down the direct route of this film being not the outlandish theory that I've got, but more like a straight shooting narrative. It would have been far more effective for Jack to have been directly punished through, you know, through like the direct exposing of his now deceased wife. You know, exposing the truth. You know, this is how. You know, this is why I died. This is what. You know, these were Jack's motives. You know, if it was a revenge story, it would have. I think it would have been far better. It just really felt to me like I think they got to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, we've got to wrap it up. Oh, we've foreshadowed a couple of moments. We can tie it in here. So, you know, Gus saying, "Oh, I like." My wife says she likes my head on my shoulders. Clink. And also the check that we didn't mention it, but Carmichael offers Christo $500,000, an increase of the $100,000 they mentioned earlier to prove his psychic abilities, and Jack just sort of says, my sixth sense is telling me that we'll be seeing this check again before the end of tonight's show. And then obviously when, you know, Lily goes Super Saiyan, he whips out the check and starts like pledging allegiance to the devil. Yeah. And then the check burns up along with him. Yeah.
It's you know, nice. Maybe they're a little cheap, but it was nice that they included those little setups. But I'm going to say that kind of Grand Guignol payoff. Gosh, I know some people wanted it, and if some people liked it, good on you.
Yeah.
At this point, I think this is all personal preference, so I'm not really. But I'm not criticizing the film for it. You had to go one way with this.
Yeah,
and it's not the way I wanted.
No, definitely not. I mean, it completely abandons the premise as well of the story. You know, from it being a found footage film. I mean, you can't explain. You can't explain all this as being found footage. It's just ridiculous at that point, which again sort of adds credence to what I'm alluding to. But we at the end of it, me and my wife were just a bit like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Let's just file it under Hellraiser style, like it's all great, and then you get to the yellow lightning, and you're sort of okay, all right. We'll get past that bit. We'll get past it. You know, the rest of the film is a bit of a banger, so we forgive it. And then it moves. I mean, as you say, it abandons found footage, which it did kind of ease you out of a lot at the time.
Yeah,
Because
as I
it
say,
shows you things it could never have seen if it were all recovered. So
yeah, as I say, with the backstage stuff in particular, it's not plausible that was found footage, because there's no cameramen behind the scenes actually recording, like filming them as they're walking about. It's all professionally shot.
of course.
Yeah, it's not so
And it totally breaks the aspect ratio as well.
yeah, yeah. But it's just again, like again, if you're being primed into something, if we're talking priming and suggestibility, again, you could look at those sort of backstage moments as sort of like the priming for that eventual end where it just goes completely off the wall and completely abandons the premise, because you're abandoning that premise throughout the film. And then
Oh, exactly. It's not like it, and it's better rather than doing just like a sudden drop. A sudden drop would have been that would have just been weak writing, but they showed you from the off that they were not going all the way with that.
Yeah.
And how can I say, beyond that, they then go into this hallucinatory segment. It was really, it was reminding me of something I've seen recently, and it's absolutely driving me mad that I can't remember what it. Dead of Night. Do you remember when the protagonist sort of suddenly he's going through all the sets and scenes and meeting everyone whose stories were told in the film, when it's all going a bit mad?
In this film?
No, in Dead of Night, the protagonist, sort of once he realizes, let's just say the protagonist suddenly goes through all the sets. Sorry, I don't want to spoil a film from 1945, but if you haven't seen Dead of Night, watch Dead of Night. It's so good.
I had to remind myself. Yeah, no, literally just one image alone. I'm like, yeah, I remember this film.
Yeah, good. I mean, blooming love it. I think we kind of had that here, that they'd gone to this trouble of shooting all the extra footage from older shows, and then hey, they got use of it. They were very smart. They got the use of it.
Yeah.
With him just revisiting it in a nightmarish way. Maybe this bit was controversial. I liked it. I preferred the hallucinatory section.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I don't know. I mean, for me, as I say, it just completely threw me off. Because obviously, about again priming again being the main word, but I'm expecting to see something that I'm told I'm being seen, and now all of a sudden I'm being completely thrown a curveball, and I'm now witnessing essentially that a man descending into madness from a third person perspective, and I'm like, hang on a minute, this isn't what I'm supposed to be seeing right now. I shouldn't be seeing this. I should be, what's going on behind the scenes. It was only until after I started putting together my own little sort of like theory, I was like, this would make sense, I suppose, if you were
film has shown
in a
us
trance.
he's suggestible. The film showed us he's extremely suggestible.
Correct.
And if we pitch in that the idea that Carmichael actually doesn't support him, Carmichael is against him because he wants to get into the Grove. This kind of revenge on him under the mass hypnosis. Yeah, it could work. It could work. Or just under mass hypnosis, all these things that he feels guilty about bubble up very naturally. There's a reference here from Patrick Batman here, sending £2. Thank you so much for it, Patrick. Really appreciate it. I've been splashing out recently. I've been treating myself on reading material and 4K editions of Candyman, so I really appreciate the support. There's like 8 audio commentaries on it, I had to do it. Patrick,
why not?
Patrick says, I wanted the Safe Haven segment from VHS2 ending. Oh, I do not get the reference, I'm afraid. I've seen VHS about 4 times, even though I really didn't like it. And then I've never seen any of the other. Sorry, I'm like any normie. I loved the Siren segment, and I still mean to see the standalone Siren film, but everything else I really didn't like in that film. So
Aren't these on Shudder, the VHS films?
they probably are.
I think
Shall I do
I've
a
seen them.
live check? I'm gonna
Yeah,
forgive me having a little check.
pretty sure I've
You
seen some of them.
you
on
know,
there.
I had it as a kind of goal for years. I thought I'd love it if Shudder sponsored me.
Yeah.
I've probably
Oh,
not said it's still. Ah, look, it's. Hang on. Anything I can't show you? No, I'm okay. Look, it's still showing me Butt Boy. Gosh darn it!
It really wants you to watch Butt Boy.
Oh, mute witness. This is a good one. This is a lovely one. Right, I'm going to stop sharing that now. We'll go back to the normal stuff, but just so you know, I was not making it up. All right, we're still just checking. Do they have VHS? Oh, hey, they've got Suitable Flesh. I was recommended that.
Oh,
Guys, I've got to be honest. I really want to be watching these stuff. There's so much I want to watch, and I'm just. It's new Bab stuff. It's a new baby. I am not getting time to watch anything. It's a struggle to do the homework, to be honest with you. It's not giving me the VHS series, I'm afraid to say.
okay. Okay. I'll have a look.
Interesting. No, it's not showing me that, unfortunately. Maybe somewhere else on the internet I will be able to find it. Somewhere else.
I've seen
Hmm.
VHS 2012, VHS 2 2013, 94,
Wait,
2021.
have you got it on your Shudder? Am I just being ripped?
Hang on a sec. I'm looking. Yeah, it's on Shudder. Yeah.
Can I ask? Did you get it via Shudder or via Shudder on Amazon?
Via Amazon.
Yeah, they have different films. Which
Oh,
is
really?
yeah. I got burned with this before.
What?
I got burned with it before. There's something we wanted to cover, and I'd seen it promoted on Shudder on Amazon. And I was like, no, I've got a Shudder account. I'll just watch it on my Shudder. And it wasn't on there. It really annoyed me. I can't remember what it was. So, yeah, that was a long ramble. Patrick Batman, again, sorry. Thank you for the £2. I really appreciate it. But I wish I knew what that reference was, but I haven't seen VHS 2. Maybe, should we? Is it good? Is it better than the first?
I legit thought I had Teletubby season 2 just popped up, and I was like, please don't tell me that's on Shudder. It's not.
It is horrifying. 72, yeah, new baby. Yeah, I had a little human made. Yeah. Well, my wife did the hard work, but yeah, Little Horror Show is 4 weeks old now. So the schedule on this went weird a while ago. You suddenly got Zardoz streams and Repo streams, and that's because we were in hospital. Now you know. So yeah, Little Bab, Little Horror Show is out and is very vocal. Where were we? Yeah, I was just gonna say I like this stuff a lot more when we got to there. Oh, we can pay off. We set something up, TCG. We primed them. We primed the audience. Now we can pay it off. We were talking about the weird owl guy, and we also talked about, where is he? Oh, come on. You've got to be here somewhere. I did not close that tab.
Is it the one person I didn't name?
It's this guy.
Oh, yes.
We have a section where we have creatures from the great well. We see Delroy making a deal with a studio head, and then we see the Grove stuff. And I just feel like this is all stuff from his subconscious bubbling up.
Yeah, I did actually look at an interview that David, what's his face, had, and they asked about the man in the skeleton costume, and he didn't confirm, as in like this is solid, but his interpretation of this character is that he is the devil coming to collect his soul. As you know,
Hey,
hey,
the Mask of the Red Death reading isn't looking too bad now, is it?
not
Huh?
at all, not at all, not at all.
Oh, bless. Folks, thanks for the congratulations. And hey, St. Tom Aquinas, thank you so much. And yes, and God bless you as well. Thank you so much, friend. Really appreciate it. Good to see you on the stream.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, look, we're going. This film is going to be mined for theories because there's so many little details. I think we're going to get some really interesting readings. So, skeleton dude turns up. Person in a creepy owl mask, which we've already seen, turns up. This might be what we talked about. Carmichael being told he's overestimated the significance of the grove.
Yeah.
And if that is true, then Carmichael's suggestion, his hypnotic suggestion, turns what is basically probably a kind of boring business dudes meeting with a nice funky handshake into this weird owl cult thing.
Yep. Because it's not confirmed at all. It's speculated very much like the real life grove. Oh, hello.
Sorry, I went on mute briefly. I didn't want to be typing, so it's all good. Yeah, so I like that reading of it. Because it was somewhat unnecessary to the plot, but I think it was good atmosphere and it feeds both our readings. But I particularly like the idea that we're seeing Carmichael's version of what the grove is, rather than the actual one.
Exactly, yeah. Because if it was like some because again, this is something that sort of came up as well. If another thing that we're witnessing is sort of like the mental breakdown of Jack, because bearing in mind again, it's alluded to the fact that he only had a month off the show before he came back after his wife's death. It's quite obvious that he didn't give himself enough time to process it and and not get over it, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't give himself enough time to grieve. So when he's presented with the opportunity of being able to communicate with the afterlife, and he essentially is exposing himself to these ideas, it's no wonder that he would have this sort of sense of connection to his wife. And if there was a deal, I air quoting this now, where they're like, I'd give anything to be the number one talk show, because quite clearly he would give anything to be the number one talk show host in America. His wife contracting terminal lung cancer. Again, they say, despite being a non-smoker, he might, from almost like a spiritual sort of cosmic luck way of looking at it, he might feel guilty for that.
I think he probably already does for getting her on the show when she was extremely ill. And I think what we're seeing is him reinterpreting that guilt.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like an exploitation almost. He that guilt could be projected onto what he's seeing now, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for someone who's never smoked a day in their lives to contract lung cancer. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. And but yeah, I think when you've got when you haven't processed it, and your mind races and thinks to things to reasons as to why it could have happened to him or to her as well, I suppose. Sometimes you can sort of escape to an idea that isn't 100% rational and explainable.
Of course.
And you end up having a breakdown like he's having in the film.
You may recall such an event in Buffy, season 5, episode 21, The Weight of the World, where Buffy effectively feels that she didn't do enough to act, had a lapse in focus, allowed let's just say, someone to be taken and put at risk, and then effectively reinterprets this as her actively killing the person very
Yeah.
dear to her.
Hmm.
And the whole episode is based around that idea. You're getting all the Buffy references today.
So you mentioned Joss Whedon earlier in the stream, so full circle. Look at that payoff.
Hey, way! What a neat little payoff. I tell you, I only got 1.5 watches of this in. I want more watches.
Oh,
This support, I swear, is going to support deeper readings. I think, especially around the psychological angle of how Delroy feels about his guilt. You know?
yeah, definitely. 100%.
There is lots in this. The producer, I think, is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And is worth paying a lot more to it. You know, a lot more focus on the producer, I think, on future watches.
Yeah.
But there is oh man, there's more to this. I'm wary of staying on the right side of Super Nanny for this one. We're doing well. We've got about 14 minutes to go. But did you have more that you wanted to cover in this?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I'm just.
I'll natter for a bit, just because this always happens. I did a stream on the weekend on Saturday. It was one of my random streams about gloop, basically. About trying to find authentic culture, and I had Harry on. It was a lovely convo. Bless him, he was great. I feel I mangled it. There was so much I forgot to say. Like I had so many things about authentic culture. I didn't even tell people to get to the pub, which was my main thing. Good, real, authentic English culture. Get in the pub. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't say it once.
Oh no.
There were so many things, but just when you have someone on for a conversation, you've got to go with the conversation. I can't just work through a checklist, so I missed so much. But I think I had some interesting DMs from people who wanted to talk about gloop further, so we might get more gloopage. Hopefully you're not all glooped out at the moment. I was just in it for people posting, "I'm gonna glue" in the stream.
Augustus Gloop.
That was a thumbnail.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Of course it was.
I never explained it, but yeah, it was Augustus Gloop going up in the tube.
Did you? I was actually saying that. Actually, talking about that. Did you want to talk a bit more about the death cult?
The death cult, yeah, the cult of Abraxas.
Yeah, because they appear at the end of the film, or I can't remember his name now. Dabo or something like that.
It's a name that was. They get their name from Anton LaVey's Sandor Dabo.
Dabo, that's it. Dabo.
Yeah, meant to be like. Oh, hang on. There was a thing with a name actually. Lily Dabo. It's like There's a thing where it's not quite a homophone, but it is close enough.
Yeah.
That your brain mangles it. So Lily Dabo is like Diablo.
Got ya.
The devil. Lily Diablo. See, I'm tripping up because
I was
close enough.
See, I was thinking
Diablo.
When you mentioned Lily, I was thinking of along the lines of Lilith.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Was it the first demon or something like that?
First wife of Adam, considered to be a demon.
Yes.
I shouldn't say first. I say first wife of Adam from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Look, don't laugh at me too hard. Yes, I believe Lilith is a demon's name.
Yeah. I mean, fans of Supernatural will know Lilith.
Of course.
It's the only reason why I know it. But yeah. I suppose there actually really isn't that much to go through. I mean, they did a bit of VT. You get a bit of owl imagery in that. You get you see the items that they present on the table as well, like the carved skull, the dagger. It was again, I just felt like it was a massive priming dump, really.
Oh, completely. Well, you're also shown the items very conspicuously before they're used, so you're primed
Yeah.
for them. Oh, it's just, is it priming? Is it good setup and payoff? Who knows? And here's an interesting one. Like, I feel I'd have more to say on the cult on a rewatch, and I do want to do a rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe this. Oh, TCG. Can you hear them? Can you hear them whispering? What's that? What's that, TCG? Put your hand up to your ear so you can hear better. I think people are saying commentary? Commentary
Ooh,
track?
yes, I would. Yep. Do it.
There we go, folks. I've got about 3 in the works at the moment. There is one debuting on Saturday, which you can enjoy. That is the commentary track for In the Mouth of Madness, which Harry came on for. We actually overran by 2 minutes because it was a great convo. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the commentary. So I already asked TCG for one. I think hopefully when we get the time, we'll do a commentary for this. We'll let this simmer down for a bit, so we
Yeah.
come back and it's nicely, it's fermented. But yeah, I've lined up a bunch of wonderful people to do commentary tracks with. So, okay, just so you know,
You got a super chat from Patrick, and then I'll read.
oh
Dr.
god,
Crockett's
yeah,
one.
I'll get this up. Is this a lethal drinking game? Yes. Watch this stream again and take a shot every time you hear Prime. So true. I've I love it when you get these little ticks of streamers. I love the guy, Aaron McIntyre, lovely guy. I've often thought about making a novelty account called like a Auron Go Ahead and Tracker, and I just send him a super chat for the number of times that he says, "We're just going to go ahead and." I notice it every time. It's like our wonderful friend Lambda going, So I thought about doing a Lambda counter novelty account. If you ever see me doing that, that's me. But yes, now a great question to close on. Patrick Batman being incredibly generous here. Thank you so much. Sending £5, which really makes up for my my imported Blu-rays and banned books habit. Sending £5, saying, wish they'd stuck to found footage instead of going backstage to give exposition. I'd expected this to be analog horror, which coloured my watch. I can see it. It was 100% presented that way. I think maybe the trailer gave you the tiniest hint that it would not be all. So the trailer did show you full frame aspect ratio footage as well as the in ratio footage. But you could also easily see that trailer and think it's going to be just the broadcasts. And so what I wanted to ask, do you think it could work if you only showed the footage?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I mean, just sort of touch on Patrick's point there, or like preference. The whole the backstage stuff was supposed to, it was framed as being additional footage that had been recovered as well. So it was quite jarring for it to clearly not be that. Which, do you know, as I talk about this, I'm rethinking the ending. I'll stick with my original score because I want to go by the initial watch with my wife. But it kind of, again, with everything that sort of we discussed this evening, plus from what I've gathered from the film, it does sort of put the ending into a bit of a new light for me. Because I mean, there's a lot of deception and trickery that goes on with this film. But yeah, as to whether the backstage footage could have been cut, I think it's key because there is key bits of information that you get, such as Christou. You find out that through the backstage stuff, the commentary, that he dies from a hemorrhage. which then provides a rational explanation to to his affliction after the mini possession, because it could have just been a genuine, natural, sort of freakish, unfortunate event as opposed to a supernatural one. But again, when you've been conditioned into a certain way of thinking and viewing the film, it makes sense that that you may interpret it as a supernatural event. And then you've got Carmichael almost acting as that anchor weighing you down in reality. Yeah,
How about, in order to keep the framing device of found footage, if someone just converted it to like kind of blurry, unfocused shots from the studio cameras, and then treated the audio as if from that stuff as if it came from hot mics,
that could work. But then,
if someone wants to do that, if someone wants to try that edit, please go ahead, tell us if it works.
yeah,
And while you're at it, could you use AI to swap Delroy out for Tucker Carlson? Because I would love I want the Tucker Carlson edit.
brilliant.
Deep fake this with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
why talk about real TV shows like Johnny Cast if you weren't trying to pass it off as real footage? Again, this isn't a real show, you know. Again, talk about the beginning, you know. History only ever remembers kings, I think he says. You know, why don't we remember this event?
Yeah,
Why?
maybe
I mean,
the idea that he went into obscurity.
Again, you're told that you wouldn't remember this because Jack Delroy was never number one, so you wouldn't remember this. The King's Johnny Carson. He's the one who we talk about in when we look at late night talk show. You know, greats. Jack Delroy doesn't feature, despite this perhaps being the most memorable, potentially most talked about TV show that would have aired that particular night. You know, this would have lived in infamy. This would have been all over the news. Jack Delroy would have been an absolute. If he didn't get the number one spot, if he didn't beat Carson that night, I'm telling you, something kooky's going on.
You'd know about it. Like if Sean Penn had beat Madonna with an iron bat back in the day, you'd know about it. If our greatest ally had sort of bombed the King David Hotel in the 80s, we'd know about it. It would be immediately to our brains. We'd know that in a second, but we don't. I think you're right. Darren Brown vindicated.
Yeah,
completely vindicated. We've also had some generous super chat from the NREAV. Thank you much for sending £5 to say yes. MCTGA, make commentary tracks great again. Happy to do that. Happy to do that. Genuinely, I know you've heard me say this a bunch, the NREAB. Forgive me for repeating it, but I listen to a lot of commentaries and I'm frequently disappointed when I'm doing my research for this. Often if I can get hold of a commentary track, I will listen to it. And a lot of the time, they're not telling you anything about anything you want to hear about the film. It's often just like, oh, Sean Penn's terrible at thumb wars. Oh, have you seen Leslie Bibb? She's got a really long third toe. And no, it's like this. I want to hear writers talking about exactly how they started subverting you, and they never include that stuff, which is why I have to make my commentary tracks to slander and insult the professionals behind those films. No, thank you so much. £5, very much appreciated. As I said, I've been a spending binge recently, so I appreciate that. And also, I'm just really, really enjoying making them. They're a hoot. Good. So, yeah, to answer Patrick's question, I think it could have worked. Maybe with some confidence and some editing, they could have stuck entirely to the premise. It would have. I guess the only thing against it is you would lose the hallucinatory segment. And it would, I think, end a bit more like a typical found footage film.
Yeah.
which might be an unfair criticism if you say, "What, this found footage film? It works like a found footage film. Gosh darn it!"
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think what you have to look at when you're looking at those backstage scenes, in particular, is, you know, does it make sense from the perspective of the show? Because in between those breaks, or in those breaks, sorry, essentially it's a bit of a debrief and a brief and an update. It makes sense that a producer would go up to the host, especially on sweeps week. You know, they've got like, you know, top producers in the show essentially scouting them, assessing them, saying, you know, he's giving them updates, you know, this is what this person's doing, yada yada yada. Oh, by the way, we've got an update on Christo. It feels quite, it feels like it makes sense for those parts to happen at those points. And yeah, like I say, if you take out the element of, okay, it's clearly not found footage of somebody like recording backstage, it would essentially take out a lot of that hallucinatory element of it, and maybe break down that narrative, had it just been sort of like a hot mic moment on camera 2, let's say.
Well, let's put it this way, maybe.
Yeah.
You could, if all the information is essential, and I'm with you on it, you need it for the story, it adds value. I guess all we're saying is maybe don't present it as found footage initially, but bring us very early into the world of sort of regular cams, showing us the stuff, and then, you know, occasionally splice into, say, go behind a camera, and then we start seeing what the camera would see, including all the 70s effects. That would be a way of doing it, and it just wouldn't have you feel like you're switching genres.
I mean, it could work. It could work. I just don't feel like that the film was harmed by it, but by it being the way that it was. It's, for me, it's just the ending really that was the most jarring bit. It just was just outright confusing. Like, what on earth? Oh,
we are having some troubles here. I see Super Nanny has entered the chat.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I think we better get it wrapped up then.
Oh, we should. You know, we have got some of these absolute classics. Do you remember these?
Yes.
Oh, from back in the day.
Oh, old but gold.
Absolute old but gold. Oh. Does anyone remember these? The old Super Nanny warnings? Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, forget it.
Oh,
Good old
that
Harrian.
Oh.
Good old Harrian in these. What do we got here? Oh, some of them are deeply subversive, I've got to say. Do you remember the film that's from?
That is from Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It was indeed. It wasn't it good? Yeah, kudos.
Naughty.
Oh, hang on, where is it?
Many a time.
Yeah, we're getting burned for this. We're getting told off big style and quick. Oh dear. I'll leave these up. But, oh, there we go. I was looking for the other half of that image. There we go. That's what I was after, folks. All right. Oh dear, we're getting very silly here. Folks. All right, yes. People are remembering. You've got a Super Nanny emoji. Yes.
This is what sleep deprivation looks like.
I
can't even say it.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Oh, bless. Okay, folks. Well, we will avoid angering Super Nanny further. Shall we go for our closing thoughts and scores, and then I'll give the horror homework.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want me to go first?
Absolutely. Go on. Rock it.
I hit it heavy, by the way, for the ending, but the score I gave it was 9 out of 12 burgers. With dollops of ketchup, a nice slice of cheese, and enough salad to feed a garden's worth of worms. Again, I wrote this down. Ending excluded. My wife and I love the format of the film. Jack Delroy has a real charm, and we both wanted to immediately rewatch just for his presentation style. Humor-wise, it felt like something you would actually see from the likes of these types of shows. Christou and Carmichael were good supporting characters, albeit the former was around for only a short time. Lily was very haunting, with the open-eyed stare and wide smile into the camera, as well as her distant tone. The actress who played Lily portrayed her very well. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant performance, I would say. Constant back and forth debate as to the reality / supernatural element was very interesting, and again portrayed in a way that greatly resembles a talk show format. All of that said, my wife and I both thought the ending let this film down. It felt like all of the attention and care went into the build-up, causing the ending to be rushed. It happened just to happen, Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, in my view, the ending of Jack's eventual downfall should have been treated far more personally and perhaps more intimately. Lily should have been perhaps the vessel for Madeline to express Jack's secrets and betrayal of her, if we were going down that straight and narrow path in terms of the narrative. I don't know if the whole everyone dies at the end shtick was needed, as I felt like this film was a hell of a lot more than that. But regardless, I still highly recommend it, and it's definitely worth the rewatch. So yeah, and also, who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a sequel where Cleo James finally gets to close the show.
Very nice. Very nicely done. And I'm going to say I concur. I think that's fair. Bear in mind there's bias here. I was leaning towards a 10 because I just like the presentation of it. I think it's something a bit more original, something I don't usually see, very well executed. I've talked myself down to a 9.
Okay.
Because it does lose me in the payoff.
Yeah.
I wanted something more chilling. Ghostwatch was a bit more chilling when it landed. Or Devil of Christmas really shook me up. That sort of thing. It wasn't the kind of payoff I wanted. I would have preferred chilling. So for me, I feel justified knocking it down. At the same time, it's personal preference. So it should be very happy with a 9. 9 out of 12 burgers. Uneven amounts of ketchup, but where the ketchup is, it's incredibly thick layers of it. A few mentions of spicy jalapenos, I thought. Good amount of cheese. Very satisfying. Very satisfying indeed. People are sort of centering on a 9. I think that feels fair. Yeah, inconsistent found footage framing. I can go for it.
It wasn't 12.
Overly obvious foreshadowing. Yeah, that's fair, Dr. Prepper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a 9, but it's a 9 that I know I am going to rewatch. It's a 9 I know I am going to recommend, and I feel like I want to at least dig into one film from the creator's back catalogue and just see how they did it. Jay coming in with a slightly lower 7.5. I know you're very discerning, Jay, so that's absolutely fine. I know some people, you get a feel for people's rating scales. So a 7.5 out of 12 is fair. Good, but the hype doesn't help it. Yeah, this probably shouldn't be hyped, actually. I don't want to build this up as the best thing ever, but this would, after a lot of the stuff I've seen on Shudder, this is a brilliant surprise. So we got to keep a hype check in line, basically. If you haven't managed to see it, folks, I know a bunch of people have struggled. I'd recommend again, use the free trial on Shudder, or you may find it elsewhere on the internet. Now, I want to make sure I do not miss again, because I've already missed one from you, Patrick Batman. I felt awful about it. So apologies. So thank you again for another £5. Absolute star, by the way. Saying the surreal bits could have been done with adverts being warped by the supernatural.
Oh.
I would have I would have loved to see adverts that slowly get more creepy and surreal. I would have absolutely loved that. I'd have eaten that up. I'm sure I've seen something like that where the adverts did go super weird.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
Do you
coming
know
to
what?
mind?
It's at the tip of my tongue, but yeah. Oh my god.
Ah,
I feel like
it's not
some-
Tropic Thunder. Think of like
No.
the spooky version of the Tropic Thunder start. Sorry, it's sleep deprivation, man. I'm thinking of something and I can't remember it, alas. But Patrick's ending with the recommendation, Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions, a very discerning taste. Now, I want to say it stars Michael Ironside. It doesn't. It stars a guy who looks a lot like Michael Ironside, who was also in The Faculty, and I cannot remember his name, alas. And I want to say Scott Bakula as well. Very interesting film. Like Clive Barker classic, it's very atypical, and could possibly do with a remake with a bit more polish and a bit more cash. But yeah, it's certainly an unusual one. You're not getting a standard movie with that, so worth watch. Does that have Famke Janssen? I think it has Famke Janssen.
I've got
Anyway,
no
folks,
idea.
worth a gamble. If you want to see another atypical horror film that's got a bit of interest to it, Lord of Illusions, absolutely. All right, now we are. Oh crikey, we are. Oh yeah, confirmed. Scott Bakula, and there is a director's cut.
Oh,
I may not have seen the director's cut, so that would be interesting. Okay. All right, folks. Definitely in Super Nanny's bad books at this point. It's got to be said, but what can we do? What can we do? We will round it off now to make sure we don't do further damage. I love bringing these out. Absolute classics. Very disturbing, of course, but yeah. So horror homework. Oh, Essie, I really want to put that comment on screen, but I'm not going to.
I will say, if you're talking about adverts, they do talk about the UBC movie of the week at the intro. I say they talk about it, but on one of the magazines, it's at the 7-minute mark. The UBC movie of the week on I think it's like a Time magazine, is a film called Hail-Abraxas. Hail-Abraxas.
Very nicely done. See, there's so many details we can mine in this. Okay, horror homework, guys. Horror homework. The schedule is super messed up still, so we are not great at sticking to our themes, but I say we just go with it. We just roll ahead. I think we're ready for it. I think next week I want us to cover ghost stories from 2017. And I want us to do it because this is one of the ones I've been building up to in the horror anthology series. I absolutely love it. So we go from an original Australian production with Late Night with the Devil to an authentic British classic. Honestly, I don't overhype it. But oof. Ghost Stories 2017, guys. That's what we're covering next week. Another horror anthology. A really good evolution of the format and featuring an absolutely brilliant performance by Paul Whitehouse in a scary role.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Ghost Stories. It's got that geezer who played the nonce in what was it? Was it Black Mirror? No, it wasn't Black Mirror that we covered. Give me money. That guy.
Oh, who said that?
Lots of money.
Oh, that guy. Yes, it does. Yeah. It does. Yeah, that was Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yes.
It was. Yeah.
What a meme. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yes, it does
Alex
have
Lawther.
Freeman in it. Yes, that's the one. That's the one. It's also got a cheeky Nicholas Burns cover. So we're going to do 2 films in a row that have a little dig at cold readers.
Darren Brown's in it.
He is.
Plays
See if you can spot it.
Okay.
Have a look. I think you might find Ghost Stories on Prime. I'm pretty sure you will, Tim. It should be quite easy to get. Now, one final thing. Mergoot, raising up, episode 150, the poll. I will get the poll up for next week. People have been sending suggestions. There have been some very interesting ones. The Lost Boys was a winner. People are putting some nice obscure ones in as well. So, next week, episode 149, week after, your choice for episode 150. Vote in the poll when you see it. Folks, we've overrun, but we have had a fantastic chat.
It was worth it.
It was great. Yeah, I love this one. Little gem. Thank you so much, TCG.
No, it's been a pleasure. And again, to everyone who's watching, thank you for allowing us into your living rooms once again.
Nice. Remember, links to TCG's channel is in the chat. Do go follow him. Watch his stuff. He's a good lad. Links to my blockbuster series also in the chat. It is all complete now. You can see it. You can see all the commentaries. And enjoy the upcoming commentary for In the Mouth of Madness that is coming out on Saturday. So make sure you're there for that. Should be fun. You guys have been wonderful and generous tonight. Much appreciated. If anyone else wants to support the channel by joining as a member, you can get exclusive content. You can do that on Subscribestar or via YouTube. That's pretty much everything. We've been discussing Late Night with the Devil, and we've been and we've given you a horror homework, which is Ghost Stories from 2017. All right. That's everything, folks. Thank you all so much. And maybe see some of you in the premiere on Saturday. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
Have a good evening, guys.
Wee.